There we are.
Cool. So we're live. Go for it.
We are live for episode 16, which we are calling an update podcast on Bodhi's medical condition based on the emergency-ish situation that we had yesterday. So we wanted to guys give you a little bit of an update on that. Wanted to just talk about some other things as well. We don't have a guest this week. We did, but we've rescheduled Kels Hayward for a couple weeks, so that'll be cool. Um, yeah, so episode 16, a little bit of housekeeping. We have our lead sponsor is Veast. Veast is a vegan feast.
Yeah, it
And
is.
yeah, and they are a takeaway based in Bristol. You can take away on Thursdays and Saturdays. To put in your order, you have to put an order in the day before. So hit veast.kitchen. There's no .com, there's no .uk or any of that. It's just veast.kitchen. Check out their website. They got a killer menu. They got killer food. I promise you, you will be happy. So for Saturday, get in there Friday night before 8 o'clock. So that's veast.kitchen.
Amazing.
Yeah. The other thing is we are getting close to our first main
Goal.
substantial goal.
Yeah, we are.
So thank you everyone for making that a reality. We're moving closer to 500 likes on Facebook, which would be a great achievement, especially the organic way that we're doing this. We're not doing any advertising or any like shenanigans. We're just literally person to person are spreading the word out for us. So thank you for that. Along those lines, hit us with the Holy Trinity. That's how this continues to grow. So the Holy Trinity is share at least one post of ours anywhere. The second is like and follow our Facebook page. And the third is please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
The Holy Trinity,
The Holy,
guys.
the Santo de la Santo.
You get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Your support allows us to do more of this to create better and fun content for you guys. So keep rolling in those likes, keep helping us out, keep spreading the word. You guys are La Familia, and without you, we can't do what we do. So
Correct.
right, should we get into it?
How are you feeling?
Fucking
Why don't you settle in? Need me to get you anything?
Like literally, I sat down a second and I was like, "Fuck!" After this for like 2 hours. So yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right today. So basically, the update for everyone is that then the situation is that last Friday, I had some pain in the old nard sack, and basically, I had some testicular torsion, which is a twist of the testicles. It's something that can be quite serious. So I went to the doctors. In England, we have free healthcare. You can rock up at any time and receive treatment, basically. So I went to the local hospital. They sent me to another hospital that has a better urology department, so on and so forth. And from there, I basically was told that I might need surgery. Ended up not having surgery. Went back like half a week later because it had happened again, and checked in with that. Basically, went back in. They again told me that I didn't need surgery, but that it was going to need stabilization surgery because the testicle keeps twisting and contorting and things like that. So actually, what we're gonna do is now we've gone through the GP and I will be having surgery probably in the next couple of weeks. So for the time being, I'm basically very tender, kind of hobbling around because at this point, one of my testicles just keeps retorting and retwisting, which fucking sucks, guys. Truthfully, it's been quite an anxious time. It's been quite not a fun time for me in terms of dealing with this day in and day out. But
if you want a good representation of what you've been going through, check out the last video we posted. That will give you a real clear and colorful presentation of where Bodhi is and where his mindset is, which is great.
I come across very erratic in that video.
Well, it is smash cut together. But the best thing about this was yesterday we came home and we had posted that, sort of like that we had to cancel our podcast or reschedule a podcast with Kels and the reason why. And then we put that little video up. And then we realized that Bodhi's grandma, my mom, had seen the video. So we were like, oh, shit. we need to call grandma and just tell her.
That I've been having this problem because we
Yes.
hadn't called grandma and told her that I had been to hospital.
We
or
didn't want her
anything.
to freak out and be like,
Yeah.
oh, Bodhi's in the hospital, what's going on? So we
Yeah.
called her, and one of the first things she said, which is priceless, and we'll remember this for a while, is,
For a long time.
Bodhi, remember, you cannot make an omelet with one
Only
egg.
one
Only
egg.
one egg.
So make sure you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Which, as far
Actually,
as
you can, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's just not as.
as far as advice from a grandma goes, it's pretty high up there. it's just exactly what you need to hear when you've just spent a whole day in the hospital.
It was inspiring. It was reassuring. It was
Yeah.
all the things that you wanted to hear. So,
Yeah. So basically, though, the case with the surgery, just so people understand, I said that they said I didn't need surgery. They've told me that I do need surgery, stabilization surgery, which basically means that they will secure the testicle and make sure that it doesn't spin or swivel or things like that. However, it's not currently an urgent matter because every time it untwists, it becomes not an emergency. So basically, I've gone in every time. It's been twisted when I've gone in, but then during the process of me waiting to be seen, it untwists and they deem it as like okay and send me on my way. So
the other thing that's kind of dangerous is you have literally like a 6-hour window. If it stays twisted,
yeah,
the medical guidance is you have 6 hours to get that sorted out, either through it naturally untwisting or them literally going in and doing an emergency surgery to like manipulate it, whatever, get it sorted out, or you could lose a testicle.
or you lose a testicle. And yeah, and in some cases, sadly, with the torsion, it can twist and it can rupture the line to it, and actually it can be dead already. So when they do open me up in a week or so's time, they'll know whether or not they need to remove
It'd
my
be like a
ball or
stillborn
not.
testicle.
Yeah, exactly. And I really don't want that.
Morbid.
I really don't want that. But shit happens. And truth is, I could have got the surgery last Friday, but I made an elective decision.
For good reason.
For what I deemed good reason at the times, but has now led me down this path of pain and destruction to my own fucking testicles. But I chose to not, because it was my anniversary, to go spend the day with my girlfriend, and so because I had a lot of things planned.
And it was an awesome, like, in retrospect.
Oh, it was a great decision.
Yeah.
Like retrospectively, I don't regret the decision I made.
It's just complicated. It's just making
to
things
live with.
bumpy right now over the next couple of weeks.
Exactly. So aside from that, I can't thank the NHS enough. They were amazing, and for people who are American who watch this, understanding what free healthcare does is unbelievable. The ability to walk into a hospital and for them to offer me surgery and for me to be able to turn it down for free is crazy. I'm sure that's hard to imagine for a lot of people who have to pay for healthcare. So it's pretty amazing, and the NHS is always phenomenal, and they have been for me consistently. Now,
I agree. I mean,
there's one discrepancy that I would have with this time.
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't get surgery the second time I went in with the testicle was because a different urologist was there, and thus their opinion was different. So there was no cohesive diagnosis across the whole urology department, even though I went back to the same hospital both times.
Yeah.
And one guy told me that if I did come back in after electively choosing to not have the surgery, that they would definitely be performing the surgery on me. And it became not elective, basically.
Yeah. And it wasn't a lie. It was a misrepresentation because it didn't happen.
Yeah. So I guess I wouldn't call it a lie. I would say if it was him, he probably would have given me the surgery.
Yeah.
If it was another guy, and this is the problem with then the free healthcare system that we have, is you can't electively choose a doctor, go in, be like, I need this surgery, and work with that, so on and so forth. In the UK, it's much more you get what you get, and that's it. And you're also, whether you're there at a peak time of the day, whether you have a lot of people waiting for surgery, whether, it also could be the severity of people that are going in for treatment that day. It can be, that there was more cases that were very serious versus other cases that were, like mine, not serious. So my case needed to be pushed to the side due to what we call in England our triage system, which is you get treated in the free healthcare system based off of the severity of what you're going through. If you go in through the accident and emergency, that is. If you book appointments, it's a whole nother thing. But when you go through accident and emergency, it's all based off of how severe what you're dealing with is in the moment. Now, in the moment, like we said, I've been in pain. I've gone in, twisted testicle, 6-hour window, problem. However, when it untwists, it's then not an urgent situation, which means that I get pushed lower down the queue, so on and so forth. So as much as there's mounds of benefits to what the NHS does, there's also things like that then, the discrepancies between doctors, the lack of communication. Just like, again, I commend these nurses and the doctors that are there because they're absolutely amazing. Like, I spoke to loads of them. We had one of them was really lovely and actually like sat in my room and chat with me for a little bit and whatnot. But at the end of the day, for example, one of them came in and realized that the machine that they take your vitals with wasn't working correctly. She was like, oh, so I haven't taken your vitals like they're meant to do in the majors department that I was in every 20 minutes. She couldn't take my vitals. She's like, I'll go get another machine. She never came back. There was no other machine. Yeah. And this is what, government-funded healthcare is being stretched to as well.
Exactly. They're underfunded. Exactly. They're making do. They're like understaffed. COVID is influencing all of this as well. There's a lot going on. But like from our perspective, from America with private medical and the UK with national medical, I can only say that we have had mostly a really, really positive experience with the NHS, especially like, dude, your cancer team in Taunton are insane.
Absolute fucking heroes.
Yeah. They have pushed you.
Yeah.
Accelerated you, like taken personal, like moved things around, like anything that you would ask for a team, for whether it's just for a test or for something we're concerned about or anything, they've gone over and above, and it's been awesome. So, but there are times where you're just like, oh, I'm in the system, and like it's whereas in America, when I was growing up, like you thought, well, I'm paying for it and I am going to get some of the best medical treatment in the world. And I think now people are looking at it and saying, like, am I actually getting value for my money? And a lot of people are like, it's so expensive, and I don't even know if I'm getting like world-class medicine anymore. And I think there's a lot of studies that show American medicine, even though it's private, is not clearly the best in the world. So anyway,
it's an interesting point. I would say it's not clearly the best, but also I would counter this. I know a friend of mine had an operation done in America that he couldn't have done here in the UK because the NHS deemed that the danger in doing the operation would be too high versus like the output. Now, in America, when you pay someone, they'll fucking do anything.
Yeah.
So doctor went in and did it. They were like, yeah, of course we can do it. It's actually now given him 20/20 vision. He wanted to be in the armed forces, and he wasn't going to be able to be in the armed forces due to his eye being bad. And actually, it's because the American rifle is built specifically for right-handers. There's no left-handed version, I think, is what he told me. And so he was saying that with the eye that he had, he couldn't see down the scope. So now he has 20/20 vision because of the surgery that, because he paid for, they did for him in America, versus in the UK, they just would not do that at all.
Yeah.
Which is super interesting. But you're totally right. In terms of, if you straight up proportionally took a list of the best doctors, the best in their field in the world, America doesn't contain a lot of those. Don't get me wrong, proportionally, numbers-wise, they do contain a lot of good doctors, but they don't have, like we said, some of the leaders in some of those big fields aren't all in America.
And then it's not a given anymore. It's not a given that you're going to get what you pay for.
No,
and
100%.
But I think your point is, if we ran into a serious medical situation, we would definitely consider, like, you're going to have to pay a lot, but you can at least pay your way into having like world-class medicine in America by just stepping up, with a bag of cash to like
bag of fucking pennies
to a surgery and just be like, look, can we get this done? And they would probably say yes. Equally, if you were in America and you had no insurance and you had no money and you were bleeding and you were like bleeding out and you limped into an emergency room, the first thing they would say is not sit down so we can take your pulse. They'd say, how are you going to pay?
It's cash or credit.
Yeah.
it's cash or credit, sir, or do you have insurance?
Yeah. And literally, if you're like no, and no, they'd be like, okay, well, there's a hospital down the road that, good luck. But you're probably going to run into the same
problem.
Yeah. You may want to try the tourniquet technique, or otherwise just take it off like at the knee. No.
They don't give you that advice. They go, there is a technique that exists for stopping blood,
but legally,
you have to pay us to legally tell you that. Yeah. Oh, it's like, I remember when we were in the US a few years ago visiting Yale. And actually, just to mention something, we've got a friend, Davide Nastola, guest on the podcast, who's been here before, said that he'd love to see Grandma on the podcast. He'd love to see Yale on the podcast. You know what? Maybe we'll do a triple generational Homie and the Dude will get both the grandmas on. We can have
That would be
multiple
cool.
generations. I think it would be, guys, you don't understand. We've got a German grandma on my mother's side, and then we've got a Greek on my dad's side, and then you're American and Mum's English and I'm American English. So
And we lived in Spain for a while.
sitting around a table is often
Yeah.
like World
You
War
need
Three.
You need the Collier's translation book at times, or just like
or you need some sort of protective shield. For,
Yeah.
but no, we would love to do that kind of thing. But going back to the story, so yeah, we'd love to have Yaya on. But going back to the story, we were in America visiting Yaya. Yaya is Greek for grandma, by the way.
And Nana is English for your German grandma.
Yeah, Nana is English for we don't have it's
German.
easier than grandma.
Yeah. What is German? It's Nana.
Omi.
Omi. Yeah. Omi. Yeah. Of course.
I think it's Omi, isn't it? Yeah. I think it's
Opa
Omi.
and Omi. Yeah.
Um,
Oma.
Oma, probably.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll get a correction soon from my German grandma's probably watching this as well, and she'll probably give us a correction
Funny thing
when we
is
speak to her.
your Greek grandma probably watched the first 10 minutes and then it was just like, I got some stuff to do, so I may circle back.
Yeah.
We've had that a couple of times where we'll be like, I'll be like, Mom, so did you see the podcast? And she's like, yeah, I dipped in, I saw the beginning of it, but then I had to go out and do some gardening.
Yeah, I went to do some gardening. It was interesting.
For a while.
It was interesting. But no, yeah. So we were visiting her, and I thought I had a hernia because at that point I'd already had one, and we were concerned about me having another one, because when you have a hernia, one of the first things they tell you is that there's an 80% chance that you'll have another one in your life. And so we thought I was having a hernia. We went to the doctors. I'm not sure if I remember this super clearly. I remember the conversation, and it was, we walked in, and it was basically, I went in and went up to the counter. I was like, we think we've got a hernia. Can we be seen? They're like, yeah, of course, immediately. They're like, it's $1,000 to be seen by the doctor. He will then assess you. It is then another $1,000 for him to tell you what is wrong with you. At that point, we'll assess whether we need to do treatment or not.
Yeah, and if you have a hernia, God help you, like you're going to need to get a bigger truck of cash.
Exactly. Like the interesting part to me in that situation is that, cool, an American, for example, me working 40 hours a week on minimum wage in the UK, I can make just over $1,000 in a month, basically. If you imagine, they go, do you have $1,000 to pay to be seen by a doctor? I'm like, yeah, I've got my 1 month of hard work right here for you. Slide it over to them. However, they then go, cool, we've assessed you. Do you want to know what's wrong with you? And I go, yeah. And they go, another $1,000. And I go, well, I need to work another month. And they're like, okay, we'll come back in another month and we'll assess you again then.
That's the first $1,000 again.
First $1,000 again. So it's this perpetual, like, going, like, to me, that was ridiculous. When we heard that, I was like, I cannot believe that. So we left, by the way. We walked out, and it didn't end up being a hernia. It was just a random pain, but it was fine the next day.
I have an easier way to find out if you've got a hernia or an appendix.
Appendicitis. Just punch me in the kidney.
Yeah, like if I just, and I know this from personal assessment in Spain, where a doctor literally, it was a decision between a hernia and an appendicitis, and the doctor had to make sure that it wasn't
kidney stones.
Oh, no, kidney stones, yeah. And the doctor had to make sure it wasn't an appendicitis because that is more urgent. If it's kidney stones, it's painful and bad and whatever, but there is a pathway to like.
And hernias are more urgent as well, depending on if it's a twisted or strangulated hernia or things like that.
Yeah. So the way you find out whether it's an appendicitis or not
in Spain, I'm not sure if that's continued throughout all medical practice, but definitely in Spain.
In Spain, is I mean we sort of accentuate this story, but basically in my vision of the memory, I picture a doctor being on one side of the room, me being on the other side of the room, bending over like this, the doctor kind of in a sprinter stance, like, go. He starts running, his hand is back like this, and he slaps me on the back of my back. And if I howl, then that is a kidney stone.
Yeah.
If I
don't howl,
if I howl a little bit less, that could be an appendicitis. So, and it's completely like 100% proof, right? Like that's scientific.
And just so people who are probably sat there going, you know, Tom really didn't get hit in the back. I can tell you that they sent me across the road because they didn't want me be in the house during all this
They
kerfuffle.
mean me and Mom.
Yeah, you and Mum sending me out because Tom was in a lot of pain. He was actually on the floor, like screaming in pain at one point before the ambulance came and whatnot. So because the ambulance couldn't bring Tom out of the house and take him to the hospital to get the ambulance close enough to our house because we were on a hill, they actually brought all the stuff into the house. So Tom and T sent us to this lovely old lady across the road who, again, another word for grandma, abuela. We called her abuela in Spanish, which means grandma, but she was just an old lady who lived across the road from us who looked after us. Sent me to go stay with her for the night. I remember, though, when you got hit, I heard you scream from across the road. Like, it's not a joke. As much as I wish that was a joke, I heard Tom scream from across the road. And it says enough. And I actually came home at that point. I actually left grandma's, abuela's, and came back to the house.
Yeah, you came home and you and Mom proceeded to laugh at me just being like, what? Why did they do that? Like, for what reason? Why would anyone? Like, there's no reason to put me. I'm already in pain.
It's funny, you got Yaya telling me I can't make an omelet without 2 eggs. You got me and Mum laughing at you, and there's always moments in pain and things like that where you find where comedy is sometimes achieved, which is, always a weird one, but it happens.
Yeah.
We just had to get it out. Like, also earlier in the process, we'd been laughing at you because you'd been like, someone help me onto the bed, and then we'd try and help you and be like, don't touch me, get away from me. Like, we leave you for a couple minutes.
It's that moment where you like don't know what to do with yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's so painful. You want someone to take the pain away, but if they touch you, it may exacerbate it. So you're just like, you don't know what to do with yourself. Yeah, so you guys laughed through all of that.
That was funny. But, it's just...
I have to say...
I mean, it's also like when I broke my wrist. You were laughing at me when I'm there like, no, it really hurts. Like, I think it's... And you're like, nah, it's fine. You'll be all right. Sleep on it.
To be fair, dude, I laughed yesterday when I, like, rewatching that little video clip, little montage that we did. I laughed so much at that because although you were describing the steps along the way and it was kind of serious, it was fucking hilarious to see, like, your perception of what actually losing a testicle is and all the different scenarios pre, during, and post surgery was good comedy for me.
I just don't want to lose my ball, man. I just don't want... Bye, Davide. Have a nice afternoon, man. I think I don't want to lose my ball, dude. Like, that's not something I'm about. Like...
No, dude. I mean, I'm with you. I would not want to lose my ball either. But
but don't get me wrong. Here's the other thing is, this is how you know your girl is for real. When you have a conversation like, yo, I might lose a bean, honey. And she's like, I never loved you for your beans. And you're like, wow, it's real. That's
a litmus test that we just passed a threshold.
Exactly. So, it's a nice one. But yeah, I mean, all of the medical stuff in the UK has been good, but also scrappy in some ways. And I'm glad that I'm being seen tomorrow to get my consultation and then hopefully have surgery in the next week or so.
Well, I will say about the UK though as well, and this is more about English people, is there is a tendency for English people to sort of accept whatever it is and say, well, that's kind of just what it is. That's, my doctor said I've got 6 or 8 weeks till I get seen, or, whatever the news is. And certainly in England, my experience is that if you're a little bit more proactive, you kind of poke at it from different directions. If you're making a little bit more noise, then for whatever reason, whether they look at it and say, oh, this is a little bit more serious, or they just want you out of there quicker, they will at times improve your care just because you're asking more questions, you're challenging like timelines or treatment or anything like that. So that's also been pretty successful for us.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Something quickly before we move on out of medical stuff. We have an actual doctor in the chat letting us know that the old slap on the back is called CVA tenderness versus rebound tenderness. So apparently it's super useful, and our friend who's a doctor does it all the time.
He's not a doctor.
He's an ER doctor.
No, he's a nurse. He's a nurse practitioner. He's going to be. Yeah, tell us what you are, Chris, and then we'll get that clear. But yeah,
nice. Okay, so rebound tenderness.
Yeah,
it's because the force of his slap hits the front of your stomach, it rebounds back and hits the hand, and he's like, oh, okay, that's appendicitis. He's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and this person that's a nurse knows a little bit about rebounding. Not a doctor. Yeah, There you go. Physician assistant.
Physician assistant, PA.
Yeah.
Nice, amazing. So
Was
there you
a
go.
former basketball player of mine, and has gotten his share of rebounds
Also,
in his career.
let me just say, out of all the people I'd want slapping my back, Chris is not the person. His hands, guys, he's an ex-basketball player. I'm not sure if he still bowls. Chris, if you still bowl, let us know. But his hands are the size of plates. If that dude is slapping you on the back, you're moving forward at least a foot. But yeah, so moving on from medical stuff, it's it's been a roller coaster, but I'm okay.
You're all good.
I'm here.
We still got a little bit to go.
Look, guys, I got a little one of those for you, and I'll sit back down. A little one of those for you.
Tenderly
guys.
sitting back down. That was nice.
A little one of those for you guys. I'll sit back down. There you go.
There we go.
There you go. Boom. See?
Yeah.
Insides bounce around, you get a lot of pain. Learning stuff today. I like it. Something else that I wanted to talk about with you, and kind of reaching back to and my early days of visiting America. When I first started visiting America from Spain, because obviously I was born in America, but I was born in Jackson Hole, which is really far from Nevada in terms of, it's a couple hours away.
Flight, yeah.
Yeah, flight away kind of thing. So, however, when we moved to Spain, going back to America was when I started remembering my times in America. I remember those early trips to America from Spain, less so from Wyoming to Vegas, back and forth. But one of the things that Yaya had for me and she would do is she would collect VHS tapes, VHS movie tapes for me. And this is, do you know what's hilarious? I look back on my life and I realized we talked about with some of our martial artists that we've had on, where this love for martial arts came from. And that, for me, it came from doing karate, being bullied, and wanting to and then finding the beauty in the art. And I realized that's not even true. I realized it actually comes from those VHS tapes that Yaya used to give me, because there was the old Jackie Chan stuff in there. I had a lot of the old Beverly Hills Cop with, Eddie Murphy. I had Karate Kid. I had all these old, almost I want to call them vintage Hollywood action movies, that involve, you got, what's the name? Jean-Claude Van Damme and people like that.
Jet Li.
Exactly. People doing, this old school stuff.
Steven Seagal.
Exactly. No, yeah, definitely. She definitely had some Steven Seagal movies in there. And she knew that I liked the martial arts, so she would buy ones that would be like Cop Gone Bad, that kind of stuff. And what this is in reference to is I used to love Karate Kid. Karate Kid is where it all started. I loved it through and through. I've met Mr. Miyagi, the actor who played him in real life. It was my mecca as a child for what an action movie and 80s awesomeness should be, because it had an amazing soundtrack. The filming was super interesting. And not only that, but it had
the story arc.
The story arc was nothing. No one had done that yet, which was really amazing.
And even from then, you look at Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill, there's elements of Kill Bill that you could definitely connect back to the master, that had sort of some certainly wisdom, but some old school superpowers, and you needed that to be as lethal in Kill Bill, but as competitive as you could in Karate Kid. Yeah. So yeah, it's a foundational movie for you.
Yeah, it was
a series.
Yeah, it was a big one. It was a big one for me, and there's a lot of them now. I think there's 4 original Karate Kid movies, and now there's the Jaden Smith one that's now out as well with Jackie Chan, which, a revamp. And this is what I wanted to talk about today is revamping something. So I've recently watched the Cobra Kai YouTube TV series. And for me, it was really beautiful. I found a lot of amazing stuff in there. And don't get me wrong, from a filmmaking standpoint, you could pick it apart because there's some plot holes. There's some interesting filming bits. There's some bits I would definitely improve on. However, things that I was blown away by and that I think really this is why Cobra Kai is a really good revamp versus, in my opinion, the Jaden Smith one is not. And this is what I've kind of concluded, is that the Cobra Kai one has amazing fight scenes. And don't get me wrong, they're not Hollywood filmed. This is a TV show. It was made for YouTube. It's not spectacular. But the film work is amazing. Not only that, but the stuff that they're throwing is actual, in a lot of cases, actual moves. Lots of trips. Leg kicks. At one point, I saw a kid throw a leg kick, and another kid like reacting like take a chop to the leg, and I was like, oh my god,
Mm.
when is the last time you saw anyone throw a leg kick
And get that much damage from
and
it
get that much damage
in a
in
movie. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was like, that was usually you see them throw a leg kick and the dude will like lift check kind
Yeah.
of thing, and they'll be like, oh, you know.
Or it'll be the first part of a combination that has no effect on the other
Yeah,
person.
exactly. It's the punch that finishes it. So
Yeah.
you know, that was super, super, super interesting. And so the fighting, whoever's choreographing that, I need to do some research, but did really well. But also for me, the acting was really interesting from especially the older guys, especially, you know, Billy Zabka and Ralph Macchio. Like, it was interesting to watch them act again, see their development as actors. But the soundtrack, this is what I really want to really, really want to touch upon, is that all the way through, it felt like as well as the series went, they gained more rights to the songs in the original
They're
movie.
probably like seeing what the audience like uptake was, and
Yeah.
they had more budget, so they were like, okay, we can take down some more songs
Exactly,
as we go.
yeah, exactly. And so, like, there's moments where, for example, Johnny and his gang meet up again because Johnny, being Billy Zabka, and the bad guy in Karate Kid, meets up with his boys 30 years later because one of them has cancer and is dying and is terminally ill. And they have one last like hurrah together, and they all get on their motorbikes, and the same song from the first movie as they all are tearing down to the
Nice.
beach scene, and it's
Nice.
like they play a lot of also the music that they use for the Mr. Miyagi bits in terms of this like beautiful pan flute, like Japanese pan flute music. That's
So you're getting
much
very
like,
nostalgic while you're watching it.
so nostalgic, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it is the most nostalgia like I felt watching anything for a long time. Like, I was really blown away by how much they reference, and not only that, they do flashbacks. So they'll show like for example, memories from Johnny's point of view, and it will be clips from the original movie,
Nice.
but ordered in a different way, so that it does look like Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio's character, is actually the bad guy and has been the guy who's
amazing.
And it's like the way that they've done this is so creative. And what I wanted to reference was that, and I think something else, I'll follow this up with why I have a big problem with J.J. Abrams' first Star Wars movie that he made in the series, The Force Awakens. And it's because, for me, when you make a movie and just completely use the same plot as the one that you're remaking, if you like down to a T use the exact
formula,
the exact same thing, then yes, obviously, if that's your goal, for example, Total Recall, things like that, things that have revamped and made newer ones, yeah, cool, fair enough.
But the Bourne ones, like the Mission Impossibles, like all the sort of the series ones that are different characters, same main character, but it's basically the same story.
Yeah, but I guess for me the thing is with the new Karate Kid with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan is it felt like they were trying to be really modern with, you know, having black Jaden Smith as the Karate Kid and learning from Jackie Chan, who's Chinese, not Japanese, and like he's actually in China, I'm pretty sure. The movie is based in China, and so there's a lot of things that are really different from the main story that they're trying to do very modernized, which, cool, amazing. But when you do that, when you then keep the core story plot, the same like motifs, the same like, it becomes bullshit because that movie is written to be in fucking Encino, fucking California, and fucking Reno, and it's meant to be with this 80s fucking like bam, bam, like fucking like synthy fucking vibe, you know, all the way through the whole series. Even in the later Karate Kid movies, that continues. And I think that's kind of more my issue with this new one, is that they kept the same core structure that was never made for modern day China with black Karate Kid and Chinese Jackie Chan. You know, it wasn't. I
mean, there's probably a story in there.
There's archetypes that work.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Archetypes that definitely work.
Yeah.
But for me as well, I appreciate the modernization because at the end of the day, amazing. Jaden Smith is then a role model for young black kids as well, and I fucking love that because also he was amazing in that movie.
Yeah.
The amount of work that he put in as a person to be able to spin and do like all these amazing and have the flexibility they had, fucking top notch.
Yeah.
Like, incredible. Take my hat off to Jaden Smith. And Jackie Chan, the best that ever did stunts ever. Yeah. So that's that. But there's a reason why, you know, Mr. Miyagi is this legendary character, is because he's old and he's like frail, but he throws these like, and you watch it, and when you watch the original one, he's not doing anything crazy. If anything, he looks more like Steven Seagal in his 50s. But that's what it like. That's the whole point of it. Do you know what I mean? It gives it that mystery, that
It is
beauty,
it's
and that essence.
it's a strong archetype, right? That it's almost like he has superpowers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and you have to, but he's not going to give them to you. You have to work for them. You have to be, you have to earn them, and then once you've earned them, will you then have have accessed what he has. And it's really cool because I mean, again, there's different movies that do this in different ways, but the Karate Kid clearly does it. And yeah, I understand. So when you say the new one, you mean the Jaden Smith, Jackie Chan one. There's this other one now, Cobra Kai, that you feel like they've done it differently.
Yeah, I feel like, so again, things that I will mention that I felt weren't great. So in the Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, he has to like learn how to like balance with a snake, and you stand across from a snake and you do this like balance move. Cool, amazing. I love that you're doing different. And also, the Mr. Miyagi is the classic wax on, wax off. In the Jaden Smith one, it's put the jacket on the hook, take the jacket off, put the jacket on, put the jacket back on the hook, kind of thing. You know.
So it's a bit of an evolution. That cool, got it.
Same in this. So basically, because Ralph Macchio is direct descendant of Miyagi, he still does the classic Miyagi teaching. He does the wax on, wax off, paint the fence, paint the house, sand the floor, like all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You can't say sand the floor without being sand the floor. And he does all the classic, but he also then is like, now he has two students. He's like, right, I'm going to teach you how, if both of you work together, you can fight a group of his hundreds. He's like, you can defend yourself from hundreds. It's called the circular technique. And he realizes that it's not working on ground. So then he actually puts them in a pond on like a circular balancing thing and gets them to move around, because then they can feel each other's weight.
Like a pontoony type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to me, it seemed less gimmicky. Like, don't get me wrong, it was maybe, I guess when you break it down, it's all gimmicky, but it seems less gimmicky than, fucking standing on a mountain in China with a fucking snake, like, to me, there is still
more practicality to like, let's train to like, actually like legit train.
Yeah.
And dude.
And also just in terms of real world usage.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Cobra Kai, but you basically rinsed it in, was it 20 episodes in 2 sittings?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So about 10 hours of viewing.
Yeah.
So it got you. Like, it did its job.
Well, this is the thing, dude. I go hard with things that I'm like, oh, this has validity. Like, I need to see this through. I almost want to see it. I tend to just plow through it so I can make a justified opinion instead of watching one season and coming back weeks later and being like, I have no fucking clue. Like, I've done that with Westworld. At this point, I don't remember what happened in season 1. I barely remember what happened in season 2, and I watched that a couple months ago. I barely remember what happened in episode 1 of season 3, and I watched that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, it's a really weird one in terms of blasting through things. But no, dude, it held me. It gave me nostalgia. For anyone who watches it, as much as it's made for a younger audience, you can feel that. I would say it's more, though, when you listen to it, there's moments that are so made for the classic audience. Like, there's a moment where they're doing like a training montage, and Daniel LaRusso's teaching him the wax on, wax off, and then then Billy Zabka cuts to him, and one of his students is wiping a window to his office, and he's like, "Yo, sensei, is there any particular way you want me to clean this windows?" He goes, "Nah, I don't give a shit." And you're like, that is so like just a nod for the old classic fans who really love, like, and I guess that's kind of the thing, as well as they bring out like the classic car, the mum from the original movies in it. Like, they have all these characters.
Now, didn't you say that this whole like the germination of this whole thing is from How I Met Your Mother?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I read somewhere that the kind of stem of the idea came from a theory that kind of had been like a conspiracy, and it's funny, we've got someone in the chat agreeing with this conspiracy, that actually the whole movie, if you watch it through, that Billy Zabka's character, Johnny Lawrence, is actually the good guy, and that Ralph Macchio's character, Daniel LaRusso, who is the Karate Kid, is actually the bad guy, because of, if you just look at the train of things, he comes into the town, he takes his girl, he then like is a problem for him at school. He then threatens him and enters a tournament with him after having his karate guy beat his sensei beat them up. Like when you break it down in an interesting way, it can look that way.
Yeah.
Which is where then, don't get me wrong, the plot is way more diverse than that. That's the core plot of you actually see the story more from Billy Zabka's point of view at the beginning of the show. But there's a lot more shit that they bring in and a lot more context, a lot more detail. Like I said, they start doing flashbacks. They start doing like all this different stuff that, again, you find out, for example, why John Kreese, the guy who opened Cobra Kai, who is Johnny Lawrence's teacher, you find out why he's such a hard ass.
Yeah.
You find out why Johnny Lawrence stopped doing Cobra Kai. You find out like all this like really amazing background information that really isn't given to you, which is really cool.
It's really representative of, like, you do this with a bunch of movies, right? Just change the context of who the hero is and who the villain is.
Yeah.
And it flips the movie around, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just about anything. Like, if you go with, so if you go to the Kill Bill movie where Beatrix Kiddo is in the kitchen.
Dude, that's such a good one.
Yeah.
Even further than that, rewind it further. She's an assassin. She leaves and takes Bill's baby. Rewind it all the way to where the story starts, which is where she gets shot.
He's got some got some anger, right?
And they're assassins. It's what they do.
Right. Yeah. So like, So
that's
just
a great
doing that.
Fucking point, dude.
You can and like that actually might be like a cool like little way for Hollywood to go. It's just turn movies around and be like, whatever the series like style is, and whoever the historical lead is and the historical hero is, just to switch that around and see, like, because it's almost like they kind of did this with the Joker.
I was about to say the new Joker movie was with Joaquin Phoenix. At the end of that movie, you go, I'm on the Joker's side. You're like, I want to see where this chaos goes. And do you know what? Actually, and this segues perfectly into something I wanted to talk about in a minute as well, being Batman and what's happening within the world of DC and bullshit at the moment. But I think with the Joker, he has been a character that even since the original writings of the Joker, he's been one that you can love or hate. And that's really fucking beautiful. And Batman as well as a character is one that you can love and hate based off of decisions, based off of things that have happened throughout his story arcs in different areas.
True. Yeah.
I was going to say the Batman versus Joker, if you turn that round and you literally just flip it.
Totally. Because like this last Joker, like Joaquin Phoenix's character of the Joker or characterization, you have sympathy, you have compassion for that Joker. That dude has been bullied. He is like, he doesn't have the skills in a lot of ways just to cope with the world. And, he finds a little avenue for some sort of own personal redemption that is viewed by the world, and probably rightly so. But you can definitely like almost connect with someone that has been like the underdog and has just been, kind of beaten up his whole life, finding something to hang on to, right?
And I think, do you know why it's relatable? I think you're so right. You can almost track with them if you're someone who's been through hard times, someone who's been bullied, someone who has, he's got a laughing disorder in the movie, but, say you've got any other disorder. If you can relate to that, there's a point in time, and I think a lot of people will understand what I mean. There's a point in time where you get to choose whether you're going to be the hero or the villain of your story. And don't get me wrong, I think that decision comes up many times in your life. Actually, I don't think it's a one time. But what I will say though is, in the case of if we're going to hypothesize and put this in the line of Hollywood, Joaquin Phoenix's character is faced with an option of, I'm the underdog, I can come back, I can do something. I can either do it as good, or I can embrace chaos,
And he tries to do it as good. He tries to be like a clown. He tries to be like, and he gets squashed again.
And he tries to do stand-up comedy. He tries to talk to Thomas Wayne because he thinks that he's his son. There's a bunch of moments where he tries to follow good. And I think this is what I mean is that some people get pushed to chaos. Other people choose chaos.
Yeah.
Other people definitely choose chaos, and I think for me, and I can tell you for a fact, there's moments in my life where, one definitely pops to my head where something happened with one of my exes when I was at college. And in that moment, I chose chaos and I unleashed the inner beast and I was angry and I like went to confront him, you know, and my decision was confrontation. It was like, go deal with this
Mm.
head on kind of thing. And what you realize obviously later in life is that sometimes that isn't the right decision, but some people choose chaos. And in some cases, you get pushed so hard that you choose chaos because at this point you feel like there's nothing else.
And can I say something as well? That's going to be controversial.
Do it.
I mean, there's some power in the darkness as well, right?
Mm.
In the fact that the darkness is a little bit less conventional, um, and there's people that actually want to reward the darkness. So if you choose to be, you know, the bad guy, then you're going to have your own, you know, your own group of people that are rooting for you as well. And
The Suicide Squad on your fucking, yeah,
exactly,
100%.
exactly. And so, you know, it's not 100, you know, it's not 100% like just you against the world. I mean, you look at, like, if we really wanted to go out there, you look at some of the serial killers or mass murderers, that type of thing. They haven't been able to figure out a way to do anything in their life that's substantial at all. So they go straight dark, straight like into like evil.
Mm.
But they somehow equate that as at least something, some sort of significant mark in their life. And so this, you know, kind of circles all the way back to, like, to the decision they made for Cobra Kai, which I think is really cool in that you can, there's different perspectives of people. And we also just have to like appreciate that no matter how shitty you think someone is, they've got a backstory.
So do you know what's really interesting is recently the game has been released, Last of Us 2 has been released, and there's been a big debate about this, and I have a theory on it. I haven't played it myself, but I know the plot because I'm a fucking nerd and I love reading about, especially this game, because I don't have a PlayStation either, so I've no way to fucking play the game. But
But you did play the
I
first
played
one.
the first one and I loved it, and
Yeah.
it's a masterpiece of a game, and there's no way that this one wasn't going to be a great follow-up. What's interesting is that I know they kill off one of the main characters very early on, one of the two main characters,
Mm.
and leave you with this big, and it's like an up moment. Again, they did it in the first game. They kill off someone huge in the first couple minutes and fucking fuck with you a little bit, basically try and pull on your emotions. Well,
Up, you mean the movie Up?
yeah, up. Yeah,
Yeah.
they up you. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. That's
Yeah,
I'm coining that term. They up you. And I think what's interesting is the theory for this new game is that you still play as two different characters, but now you play as the girl that killed the main character. So you play as the person who kills the main character, and you play as the other main character that you had from the original game.
Mm.
So what's interesting is you get to see how this person's actions throughout the first game affected this person, because this person's dad was a doctor trying to save her in the first game, who got killed in this whole whirling dervish that they created, basically.
Yeah.
And so now this girl has revenge. She has hate in her heart for this girl, who we all deem as the good guy. But really, in someone else's story, she's the bad guy. And I love this quote recently. Someone, I can't remember where I heard it. I can't remember where I heard it at all. But I've heard two quotes recently, and one is, be the superhero of your own story. Be the hero in your own story. I love that. But also another quote is, you are already the supervillain in someone else's story, and you don't know it.
That is amazing. That is amazing. That blows your mind, right?
Like, and what they mean is in life. Like,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah,
Tom
this-
Camboris, are someone's supervillain
Yeah.
in their head.
Yeah.
And same for me. Like, I think I know who mine is as well.
Right.
Like, I think I know the person that I am their supervillain. Because
Yeah.
I've heard other people tell me that they really dislike me, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it's interesting that you may think that you're doing the right things, that your moves, that your decisions are echoing the correct things. But in some cases, you know, even as, for example, someone who you and me are both, I would say, center left in terms of political views, we deem that, you know, giving rights for certain people is what should be done. We think that everyone should have rights. People on the right who don't believe that see us as their mortal fucking enemy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah. It's very
and-
very prevalent right now in the political.
it's weird.
It is very weird. Yeah. Like, there's people out there. If this is true, if we could just take that saying as true, there's people out there that may be using you as motivation to
Succeed.
succeed. Yeah, because they want to either show you up, they want to surpass you, they want to embarrass you, whatever. Um, so that's a really, I've never ever thought of that. But because you have super villains in your life that you look out to, and not really
Oh,
because
100%.
you look at them and for whatever reason it brings out the bad part in you, that's just like you're jealous, you're envious, you want what they have,
Yeah.
you think they've gotten what they have too easy, there's all the different things, right? um, but in some ways it can hold you back, you can just kind of beat yourself up about it and use excuses, or in other ways it can be a real motivator to be like, I'm gonna fucking take that dude down or that girl down or whatever, and then I'm gonna probably, like, I hope I don't, but there's a part of me that wants to rub their face in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I hope that when the time comes,
I'm a better
I'm
person.
strong enough to not do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's really interesting that at the end of the day, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't say, we say everyone's got a supervillain. I can think of people in my life that I'm not fond of for sure. There's no one who I actively go out and hate, but there's no one who I'm vigilante fighting in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, but there's people that in my life, I can definitely reference a boss that I had at Treads. Like I have like very little respect and interest in being anywhere near that person ever again in my life.
Yeah.
And
well, so that's part of it. So there's different criteria for someone to be your super villain. One is that they were in a position in the past that they made your life more difficult.
Yeah.
Right. So it could be a boss, it could be a peer that like bullied you, it could just be whatever. Right. Or it could be someone that signifies something that you're completely and utterly opposed to, and you're just like, they're just aberrant. When you think about them, it's just like, how could they be that?
That's a good point. That's
right.
A really
So it doesn't have to be. It doesn't even have to be someone you personally know, right?
100%.
And then if you open it up to that, well, there's a lot of people, right, that you could say that are your super villains out there.
Yeah. But do you know what's interesting as well? I was it's weird that you're playing this game out throughout life, and your actions constantly have bigger reactions and small reactions and things like that. But something I want, just bringing it back to TV and actually off of this, is the reason I love How I Met Your Mother to the extreme extent that I do, and just so people understand, when I mean extreme, I mean I've watched the show 15 times, and when I mean the show, I mean all 9 seasons, all episodes. I've seen it 15 times.
And there's certain parts where they're coming up, episodes before they're coming up, and you're starting to prepare yourself emotionally for that to build, and then when it happens, it tears you to pieces again.
Yeah,
or like
exactly. Like I know the ending of the show. I know, like, there's episodes, irregardless of how many times I watch them, I cry every time. I cry every time, and I laugh every time, and I smile every time because of how well it's done. But the reason why I like How I Met Your Mother is because actually I just realized the whole you have a supervillain theory is one that How I Met Your Mother presents. In one of their episodes, they call it your pit person. So in Hannibal, in Silence of the Lambs, she's kept in a pit at the bottom of Homie's basement, right?
Yeah.
It's that if you had the opportunity, everyone would have a pit person. Everyone would have someone that you'd put down a pit. Now, moving away from that specific analogy, what How I Met Your Mother do through many of their episodes that I really think is amazing, and don't get me wrong, some things are as mundane as the cheerleader effect, which is when you have a group of people sat around, often they look a lot more attractive than if you individually dissect each person. And it's not a wrong theory. Like, as much as it's a super mundane one and it's for really bad reasons, it's a...
Yeah, there's some truth possibly in there. Yeah.
But what they also do is do these really big life thinking ones. So for another one is having someone on your hook. So for example, someone who fancies you. It's like the friend zone, for example. Having someone who fancies you, who you keep along because it makes you feel better, but that you give them just enough to keep them around. So you're like, yeah, we'll maybe be together at one day. I really like you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
But you keep them around because they make you feel good. And that's
so painful.
And that's just another thing that they like theorize and talk about, and they call it the keeping someone on your hook theory.
Yeah.
And it's all these little things that they present throughout the show that make me
They do it really well.
Yeah. They go, holy shit, that's a big life question. Like, that's something to think about, like, in your own life, and that's why I really like the show. But it was just a weird...
Well, you've used that show to be like, am I am I Marshall right now or am I Ted right now? Like, am I,
Yeah,
am I Ted in this relationship?
yeah,
Or,
yeah.
you've done that before,
Yeah,
haven't
oh,
you?
100%. Like, do you know what's hilarious? I turned to my boys the other day, and my boys love How I Met Your Mother as well. Ryan has been there for at least 4 or 5 of those watches with me. Um, we they love the show as well. Not maybe not to the extreme extent that I watch it and have enjoyed it in the past, but um, you know, we have all taken bits from that. And I said to them recently, I said, guys, I always thought I was Ted. I was like, I always thought that in my 20s, I was going to start looking for the one, and I've always been searching for the one. Like earlier in my life, pre-watching How I Met Your Mother, I was already Ted without knowing it, kind of thing. And I always thought that. What I then realize now is in the relationship that I'm in,
You're Marshall.
that I'm Marshall actually,
Yeah.
that there's no way that I'm even close to Ted. I didn't realize that actually at 23, 22, I'm a Marshall. I'm the guy who's settling down. I'm the guy who's really happy with the person that I'm with. I'm the guy who's progressing my personal development rather than worrying about what's going on, elsewhere with relationships and things like that. So, no, yeah, it's something that I've definitely used as metaphors in my life and things like that. And it's an easy way to convey to two friends who understand what you're talking about, what position in your life you feel that you're in. But
One of them is Barney.
yeah, exactly, 100%. And it's to me, it's just I really like those in like I guess deeper thought kind of metaphors of being like everyone has a pit person. There is an idea that you can keep someone on the hook, that there is a friend zone that really is destructive and painful. And Woody's gamertag video about friend zoning was one that I like religiously talked about when I was younger because it was so powerful to me.
What happened to Woody's gamer tag?
Oh, I don't, dude. It breaks my heart. He now does like he still does it. He still does his podcast, PKA. He still does his PKA podcast. But he predominantly does like lifestyle stuff, like I'll teach you business and like
Let's maybe give some context to that because it,
yeah,
it was a pretty awesome and an informative thing for you when you were growing up.
yeah. So growing up, there in early days of YouTube, people like I'm not sure how much people remember, but in earlier days of YouTube, there was a big movement amongst gaming, and it started pretty much like a lot with getting clips and stuff and making these montage videos for Call of Duty and things like that.
Yeah.
And this was not the earliest days of YouTube. This is maybe like I'll go 5 to 10 years into YouTube at this point, and this is still really early days for YouTube. Don't get me wrong, in terms of if you look at its whole lifespan, but and the amount of shit that changes in its lifespan, but. I followed a guy called Woody's Gamertag who was a father and a gamer. He played games Call of Duty that I liked. He wasn't the best, he wasn't the worst, but he was someone who at the time when you and me were having our issues in terms of father and son, I looked to him for guidance in terms of relationships. I looked to him in terms of guidance for, how to tackle issues as a teenager.
Advice, yeah.
Yeah, because he did a series called Mail Monday, which would be people would send him emails asking for advice, and he would then feature those emails. He would feature like between 5 to 10 an episode, depending on how long his answers were. He would feature those questions on his videos and then would answer them with advice. Now, don't get me wrong, he's one dude who is now I found out quite a heavy Republican and things like that, who I don't agree with in all the ways that I used to, but what I would say is the advice that he was dishing out at the time was amazing. It's stuff that young men, especially, really need. Things like make your fucking move. If you fancy a girl, tell her, be honest, talk to your significant other. All these things like people would ask about, oh, how do I, me and my girlfriend are having this problem, or me and my wife are having this problem. Would he help me out? And he'd be like, given just the basic stuff of like, and again, I talk about theories. I say, I've got a lot of theories in my life that I like to go on. Things like the campfire theory is one of Woody's gamer tags that I use, which is when you are in a relationship, if you want to leave that relationship, if you guys decide that that relationship is no longer, it's not something that's going to continue, you both have to leave the other person in as best condition and as close to how you found them as possible. Because in America, when you go camping and you make a campfire, you have to leave the campsite in the best condition that you possibly can. Clean all your shit away, get rid of all the soot and the crap on the ground, and do the best that you can. So it's the same thing with relationships. If you really ever cared about someone, as long as it doesn't end with, crazy cheating stuff, but if you're a bigger person, then yeah, you still probably follow this. And you go, I don't want you to suffer. I don't want there to be pain. So what I'm going to do is end this in the most kind way possible. Don't get me wrong, breakups are always terrible. And it's one thing he always mentioned. Breakups are always terrible. But if you can leave it in the best way possible, then you can do. So again, there's loads of these theories in my life and weird places that I've got advice. Sadly, due to a lack of our communication when I was younger.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, where I get my advice is from you and mum. I very rarely take advice from outside sources at this point in terms of internet stuff, I guess would be, my point.
Yeah, it was a time missed by us earlier on, and that we've caught up on and are enjoying now going forward, which is great.
Yeah, 100%.
Super satisfying from my perspective.
100%.
Brought that shit back, brought it right back.
Yeah, we did, and we fucking sorted it out big time.
And a lot of people don't, which is credit to both of us for not hanging on to residual shit that you can, and legitimately you have good reason to hang on to stuff for years and then compromise the future. So we were able to get past that.
To our credit, to just move on. I think at some point we just became bored of just dealing with it.
Yeah.
I think it was just like, this is just too much effort on both of our end to continue this disagreements or non-connectivity in terms of our communication and our
it's so much better as well. It's just so much more fun. It's
easy.
So much more.
It's so much easier
and more rewarding in your life to have good relationships with people that are close to you and not complicated shit that is
it's drama.
Yeah.
It's drama at the end of the day, and whether that be whether that be with friends, whether that be with peers, whether that be with fucking work colleagues, whether that be with parents, family, drama at the end of the day will take up, and irregardless of who you are, like as much as we look at people like Elon Musk or, Bill Gates or people like that who've done incredible things, when there's drama in their lives, they aren't as productive, same as everyone fucking else.
Yeah.
When Elon Musk is having to do interviews about getting married and having a baby and naming it the most ridiculous fucking name ever, and he's having to constantly do interviews about that, he's probably being less productive. Like at the end of the day, it's
what's its name?
It's like XJ, no, like AX. It means like it's like an Elvish word mixed with the name of a plane, mixed with like a mathematical like symbol, basically.
That kid better take jujitsu early on.
Yeah, that's not a great one. I think that about, do you know what's interesting? I think that about a lot of celebrity kids who get weird names, but also I then go, you're celebrities. Every kid wants to be your friend. Like,
yeah, that's not going to be a
it
problem.
doesn't fucking matter if you're fucking Alfred fucking douchebaggerton, but if you're Alfred douchebaggerton Downey Jr., then you're fucking, no one gives a fucking shit. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, come round to your house.
Can you come to my birthday?
Exactly. Like it's a different kind of situation when you get into that.
Yeah.
But I think the whole having a villain thing is very interesting. I think because at the end of the day, dude, something else that I really love the concept of is that every life is a narrative, and everyone is, as much as we can go science and we can go your cells, and cells are dying, and technically everything is decaying. Technically even Earth and time and space is all decaying at one time, and everything will live and then die, and that's the only thing that's guaranteed. We could go down that route, but I also like the route of stories. I love the idea that everyone has a story, and that every person's life is a storyline, and that there's a different view. And like I said, some people look at you and me as fucking awful people. Other people look at us as people who have helped, like I helped people, fucking whatever, or someone who's really compassionate, or someone who's really great to talk to. You're going to get both these opinions. I think it's a really, really interesting place, and it's what a lot of all story is based upon.
How cool would it be to have some sort of like ledger at the end of your life? So you die, and then you can ask some questions. Like, I don't mean like divine questions about like, but I mean just like,
What if I'd done this?
yeah, you could yeah, like what
Or
questions would
what?
you ask? Like, okay, so like on my, on my list of things, like different forks in the road, how, like if I would have taken, which forks did I take that were probably um pivotably would have taken me in a hugely different direction, or which forks would have taken me into like this area that is made me more famous, made me more rich, made me less famous, made me poor, made me like
Yeah.
dead earlier. That like having those questions, that would be kind of cool. Or um, yeah, I don't know, like have I like how much out of 100% did I maximize my potential? Like I don't know, just
I would
like
say those are some divine questions, bro.
yeah, I mean like yeah, you need someone that
You
like
need divinity to answer the question.
yeah, yeah. But I what I mean is I don't mean like
If
can I
scientifically,
get into heaven? I don't
yeah,
mean like
yeah, yeah, I know,
I mean, just
what
like
you mean.
a reconciliation of the life that you lived. That would be like I would love that.
Almost like a biopic pic of your life,
Yeah, yeah.
scored by Thomas Newman and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Yes, please. Yes, please.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
But no, yeah, I think that would be interesting. It'd be cool to be able to. I think it'd be cool to also get like a. I would love to know, like, as much as it sounds weird, I'd love to know how Nikki, my girlfriend, perceives me. I would love to know how you guys perceive me, how my grandma perceives me, how my boss perceives me. Like, I would love to be able to be in other people's heads to know what their trains of thoughts are. Because at the end of the day, the only place you're truly honest is in your head. Like, it's the only place where you literally say everything that you're thinking because it's the
Yeah.
only place that you're fucking thinking, you know?
What about this? What about if you could just like literally step into the eyeballs of someone else? Because the way I'm perceiving the world,
Mm.
although, like that is yellow, we both agree to that, and that is like gray, and that's a different kind of gray, whatever. um, your processor, the way like you're taking it all in is slightly different. Like, so we know mom is very visual, right?
Mm.
And she's just like she's very observant. You are too.
Mm.
Like when you're driving in a car, landmarks and directions and stuff like that. So your way of like perceiving the world is
When you're
way
driving in a car, you know directions. Just
yeah.
generally.
Yeah, well, I mean, like that's something that most people would assume you do like
Yeah,
take in. I usually
yeah,
don't. But like, how cool would it be just to step into someone else's eyeballs and just be like, "Whoa! Like it's way more bright here, or way more colorful. Oh wow, this is narrow and dark and
yeah.
like out of focus. Like your eyes are bad.
You mean like
Like just like
pure,
physical.
you mean pure vision, not emotions and feelings and opinions and things like that. You mean
Maybe some of that as well, but I'm just talking about pure vision.
pure vision. I think to me, do you know what's interesting about pure vision? If you were to look through someone else's eyes, for example, I look at Ryan, my friend, and his pupils are always like space saucers. And don't get me wrong, they're probably like that if he does drugs, but he's not doing drugs when I'm like he's
Yeah.
not doing drugs. And his
So that means he's bringing in. He's like,
I was going to say, with pupils being that big, it means the light absorption that he's getting just from his standard pupil size versus me. I have very small pupils. For people who can't see, I'm not sure if you can see, I have fucking tiny pupils. I have like the tiniest fucking pupils ever. And the amount of light intake difference that we must have
yeah,
is got to be spectacular. I imagine that his colors are so vibrant and
Yeah.
so different. But also, dude, something else I throw out there that is interesting is seeing eyes, for me, seeing things as a non-dyslexic. So being able to read words
yeah,
and not jumble them up in my head or like mix letters or make assumptions based off of the first couple letters and things like that.
yeah.
Oh, what I would kill to know what it would be like to not be dyslexic.
Well, I mean, that's one aspect of it, but another aspect of it is like, I'm not dyslexic, but maybe I look at the world very fucking linear. Like, I go from one thought to the next thought to the next thought, and maybe you're coming at it in fucking different ways, or just, I mean, let's take it away from dyslexic, non-dyslexic, just perspective, right? Of how we fucking problem solve, how we view things, how we, how we enjoy things, like our level of happiness, like all that stuff would be really fucking interesting to
View from another
well, yeah,
person's
just
eyes.
just to have a comparison, like at the end of the game, where you're like, holy shit, like how you can like do a post mortem You can do like
Well, the post-mortem is playing the game again and doing it a different way.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And almost like trying the different way.
yeah. But like, when we play Rummy Cub, let's say,
Okay.
at the end of the game, you're like, oh, well, if you did this, well, I could have done this and this and this. Like at the end of the game, being like, holy shit, you watched it that way? Like, I did not know that, like, you did not have the capacity, Tom, to like, even feel that. That's crazy. Like your processor doesn't do that. Do you know what I mean? That's like, it'd be kind of cool.
I would love for people to watch movies the way that I do and feel the crazy emotions that I do with movies, because I get so like connected to shit when I watch movies and stuff. Like,
dude, I do too. I mean, like if a movie can elicit real emotion, like
oh fuck
joy
yeah,
and
dude.
sadness and tears and like warmth and like fear and all that shit, then like
Ticked a major box towards being a good movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's a good movie, but it's ticked one of the hugest boxes towards being a good movie.
dude, that's what, like for me, there's a very short list of things that need to happen for it to be like a super memorable movie, and one of them is I have to have a lasting memory of how it made me feel.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if it does, then that's great. And then there's other things I like, mixture of comedy and drama, fun and sadness. Like I like the two different spectrums of stuff. Like I think Deadpool does it amazingly with that whole fucking range of shit, where it's hugely just like a piss take in a lot of ways, but underneath it all, it's kind of like a love story that's really cool.
So there's a great emotional scene. There's a couple of really nice emotional scenes in the second one for sure.
Yeah.
That really,
That's what I mean. More the second one.
And you know what, dude? It's interesting. I would say I don't always like balance with comedy and not comedy, because I find sometimes if people do balance, it ends up being cheesy. Like I think Marvel try and do balance and they fuck it really hard.
Yeah.
And
some of the bad Batmans, like the George Clooney Batman.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god! Don't even. That was atrocious in terms of mixing comedy with something that's meant to be a serious thing that you're watching.
Yeah.
It's 100%. I think that is a fine line that people need to walk. I think if you're gonna try and mix the two, I think you gotta have a character that's funny. Here's the thing: is there's a difference between making a movie funny and having a character that is inherently written to be comedic and thus brings light to a role. For example, do you know who does it amazingly? Actually, is Umbrella Academy. Klaus's character he's a drug addict. He can see the dead. He is played by a guy who is very sarcastic. He's Irish. He's absolutely hilarious, basically. Like it would be very hard for him not to be funny in any role that he played. But contrasting the plot, which is dark, it's the end of the world. Your sister causes the end of the world. Your superheroes fighting, and there's like death and destruction around you everywhere. That's a really nice way to do it, because when a character brings light to a moment, then that's okay. But when you are like, haha, we're going to have two characters who are being serious, make a joke out of nowhere, and you're like, why would you, like, you're not inherently, what? Like, why is that being forced in there? Do you know what I mean? I'm now trying to think of bad, like, examples of bad comedy. Like, movies where you're trying to be serious, but then is like, there's comedy in there, and you're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Can't think
I
of
was thinking Bad Boys, but I don't think that's a good example, because that's more, it is comedy, and then there's a little bit of a friendship thing in there or whatever. But
it's more action-y as well. It's less like serious.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's a couple of movies out there that definitely do it. Like, I would say sometimes James Bond pisses me off with that, actually.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you are so serious in all aspects of your life, but then you're gonna say like a cheesy, jokey line to and you're like, what?
I think Batman's a good example. Like, Batman does it in a few, like the different Batmans do it. They're on the spectrum, right? Like, Chris Nolan Batmans are very like, he's dark. He doesn't have a sense of humor. Like he won't laugh. He won't smile. He won't like modulate his voice.
Alfred brings the humor.
Yeah.
Because he's there like, oh, Mr. Wayne, you and your bloody dogs again, broken more bones, stitching you up, fucking like. Michael Caine brings all the comedy in that, like, in those moments. Batman, nothing.
Right, exactly. But then you reach back, And like, okay, the George Clooney one, he does it a bad way. I think Michael Keaton kind of does it better.
I think Michael Keaton's a real clear. Like, I think as well that he was one of the ones that got that balance really right.
Yeah.
I think there's like Val Kilmer did not either.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer definitely did not get that right. I would say also. Sorry guys, the laptop member just died on us. I would say Val Kilmer struggled with that.
It's an actor's choice
Adam
as
West
well.
was fucking just
Adam West was campy.
It was just extravagance.
But I don't think he even knew what he was doing. He was the first one.
Oh, it was TV.
He's like, how do you play a fucking superhero? I don't know.
Yeah,
like there was nothing for him to like.
Yeah, if
you think about it, that's like
he had comics.
Yeah,
that was his source material. Was comic books.
Yeah, exactly. And so, how do you even convey that on the written page to like an actual person?
Yeah. Shark repellent spray, pow! Fucking, it's exactly how it was. Which is, do you know why it's so nostalgic and why it's amazing? I always say to people go like, oh, what, yeah, you gotta love like Heath Ledger, best Batman, right? Dark Knight, fucking best Batman. I'm like, no. Like for me, it will always be, fucking Michael Keaton and
the Penguin.
No,
the Joker.
The Joker with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
For me, that one.
Oh yeah, those two though. Those two were strong. Man.
And dude, again, Jack Nicholson brings that air of fucking like fucked up Jokerness.
Yeah.
With this really funky, like this town needs an enema. He's really good at it, and I think people really underrate that one specifically. But actually, nice segue into what I also want to talk about was New Batman, and actually we have a comment from someone saying, "What do we think about Robert Pattinson being the new Batman?" And that it's funny that he was swooned by young teenage girls in the past as the Twilight Star, and now he's being idolized for males. And now he will be idolized by males for his role after being scrutinized by males for the Twilight roles. That's an interesting point. That's a really interesting point.
I actually think Pattinson, my guess is, now, I'm way older, but my guess is his generation of males that watched him, he's one of those that was able to kind of do both. Like ride the fence of not offending or not pissing off a lot of males because he was always getting, because he's a good looking guy, because he's also so tortured, right? He's like a very, like he is relatable in a lot of ways. He's not he doesn't convey perfection.
Yeah.
I mean, physically he's pretty fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think guys fucking hate him. Like, cause he's not a douchebag either. He doesn't like,
I think guys hate the Twilight franchise.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, a lot of people just dislike the Twilight franchise as a whole. And I think following that, I think Robert Pattinson's role within that was very, again, monotone. He had very little feelings as a vampire. Like, there was not much expression from anyone in that fucking movie whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, it felt very monotone from everyone, the whole cast.
Yeah.
And this is the thing is, I would say, isn't it? It's not Kristen Bell, it's Kristen Stewart. I would say Kristen Stewart now has done other movies that have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's a great actress. In other movies, she's really good at acting. I can't say the same for Taylor Lautner, because not all of his movies have been phenomenal.
I've not even seen any movies since then. I feel like that was just...
Let's draw a line under him.
Yeah.
And move on, because I have too much rant about that, and we'll just move on. But I think Robert Pattinson, so interestingly, I read an article today about Christopher Nolan, obviously the last man, second to last man to make a Batman movie. Obviously, you had Ben Affleck recently. Or Batfleck, if you like. And Christopher Nolan was asked in doing promotion for his new movie Tenet what he thinks about Robert Pattinson taking on the role as Batman. And Robert Pattinson is actually in Tenet. So, interestingly, his actual answer was, I think after working with Robert, that he has the ability to put himself in any role that he wants. And he goes, I think he's going to be phenomenal. He's like, I'm really excited to see what he brings to the role. And do you know what? I think the trailer really helped me. I think seeing the trailer made me go, okay, I'm on board with this a bit more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on board with the rustic kind of look. I'm on board with the more detective style.
I was too. It's a little bit like noir. It's like dark. I like that his suit is understated. It's not like all fucking teched out.
Yeah.
The Batmobile looks pretty badass.
It looks like a Mustang that's been converted pretty much.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm ready for Ben Affleck to stop being Batman for sure. But
I'm ready
also,
for the ghost of Christian Bale to stop being Batman. And
that's also
I'm
true.
fearful that Robert Patterson is
It
gonna.
could be like Batman,
Yeah, dude.
Batman.
I just want him. I know Batman is like. I know he's had a really tough upbringing, but let's just bring just a little bit of humanity to him, either through his love interests or through just like his banter with Alfred, or just going out and getting a bagel or anything, dude.
Going
Like
out and
like anything like
just
besides just
humanizing.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
something
We
to
need
humanize him.
something, and I hope he can do that. My fear is that the one line in the trailer was very monotone,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that's. I mean, I'll watch it, but
He's like, I am vengeance.
dude, if you're an actor, here's the thing. Yeah, if you're an actor, like that is the easiest and least challenging decision to make as an actor. You want to have range of emotion, right? So you can access it and you can connect with it and all that shit. To just be monotone, fucking delivering those monotone
Here's the thing. I would
lines.
say the doing the Batman voice isn't the problem. I would say it's in between the Batman shit that is the problem. Like if you're get like I fully get like don't get me wrong. I like
I
that
get the
Michael
Batman voice with criminals, but what
yeah
about what just like hanging like
with Alfred.
yeah, but also like yeah, but I mean like a more of a range with Alfred, like more human.
Oh yeah,
Like
like I fully agree. I think again, like you said, like he would not be stood in the Batcave putting his batsuit on to Alfred. Like, he's like, "Hey, I'm Batman," blah 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 blah.
right,
Like you're like that
right,
makes no
right.
sense.
I'm going out in a second, but let's finish this conversation. Like while I put my boots on and fucking strap my utility belt
Exactly.
on.
He's not going to transition into Batman voice when he puts the mask on. But what I think though is justified though is I think Michael Keaton's version, which was he was just like, "Hey, I'm Batman." You know, he was very much himself all the way through that movie.
Yeah,
And I think that added a nice touch of it. But I think you need to have a bit of both. I think you need to have the Batman voice when you are fighting when you're like,
dude. Yeah.
Harvey Dent, should we trust it? You know, like I think sometimes you need it, but other times when you're sat talking to Commissioner Gordon, there's no one fucking else there. Yeah, you can be like, "Yo,
Dude, how
this
you
is my
doing, man? Like,
opinion."
this
Yeah,
is what needs to happen. Look,
yeah,
let's cut the shit.
exactly. I
Like,
agree.
I need a
Yeah,
little bit more budget. You need to fucking back the cops off.
yeah.
Like, and by the way, like, where's your bathroom?
Yeah, I think also the other thing is especially with the Dark Knight Rises, this is a testament to why that movie is terrible. In that movie, everybody knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's like a publicly known thing at this point,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to pretend anymore, Holmes. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Like, like I get obviously in earlier days when he's like not known as Batman, fair enough, cool, do the Batman voice. But when everyone knows, when all the villains are in agreement going, it's Bruce Wayne, then you can go, okay, yeah, you got me. I'm Bruce Wayne. Let's fight. Let's go.
Dude, this just takes me just to Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I would say about him, because he's got Tenet coming out. We've seen some trailers of it. It looks interesting and worth watching in some ways. But red flags are going up again. In that so there's a part of Christopher Nolan that I absolutely love, that he's part of Hollywood and he's making movies because he takes risks.
Yeah.
He takes big fucking swings,
Yeah.
right? And he wants to like crack the puzzle of the perfect movie, right? He definitely wants to do that, and that's admirable.
And he's gotten close a few times.
He's gotten fucking close. But I think what he does is he overcomplicates, and then he makes assumptions on holes in the script that he wants to just sort of gloss over and shove down our throats in a way that fucking it really like worsens the experience of watching his movies. Because I always feel like, maybe not, let's not say always, but often feel like when I'm watching his movies, I will go, yeah, but how the fuck did that just happen? And it kills like the spirit of that movie. And if I watch it again, then I'm doing that like 20 times because there's just little
100%.
holes all over the place.
100%.
I wish he would take just a little bit of a smaller cut. Like from what I can see about Tenet, it is he's fucking with time again,
Yeah.
and it looks really interesting.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right. But now he's bringing
Filmmaking tricks as well, like
filmmaking tricks. Yeah. There's like I mean that looks really really interesting. But now he's bringing in some other shit about like nuclear war that might trigger World War III and be cataclysmic and all this other stuff. And okay, that is in the realm of possibilities. But dude, You could make a full movie, really interesting and really perfect, just fucking with the time thing and just get that down, get that really, really good. You don't have to bring all, like, you don't have to do all of it at once.
He goes conceptually too big.
It goes too big.
Conceptually, he definitely goes too big, and I think for me, people always go, "Wow, Interstellar was a phenomenal movie." I'm like, I fully do not understand how anyone can say that that was a good movie. I really struggle with that one.
They have to like literally wipe away a lot of their just ability to follow plot and to just get a story's theme going. Like there's so many gaps in there and so many like what the fuck, how, like, you're always saying how the fuck did that happen, how could that possibly be?
How does that connect? What
Yeah.
does the only good thing about Interstellar was seeing Matt Damon in a movie where he plays a bad guy.
Yeah.
That was fucking nice.
Great
Matt
choice.
Damon playing a bad guy, phenomenal.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I fully am on board for that. And actually going back to Batman, I'm really excited for Colin Farrell. He's playing the
Yes.
Penguin,
I
which
agree.
I'm like, oh shit.
No, Riddler.
No, he's playing the Penguin.
He is.
He's playing the Penguin.
Okay.
The Riddler is by Doug someone.
Okay. Yeah. No, dude, Colin Farrell. I like Colin Farrell.
Same. In Bruges is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, but he takes like, what's the one? There's one that he just did. It's like on Netflix, and he plays just this random weird ass dude. Wears glasses and he's got a crew cut. And
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about, where he's like almost like I want to say like a bookie. in a
yeah,
weird way.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He like.
yeah.
I mean, Colin Farrell's another one in the Robert Pattinson like type where he could just go on his looks and do like 20 movies that way. I love the fact that he is more along the lines of, you know, like him or not, Keanu Reeves has taken some big cuts. Johnny Depp, before he went batshit crazy, took some big fucking risks. Colin Farrell is doing the same thing, and I love that, you know. And he's good at it. He's got a little bit of crazy in him, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I like him.
You mentioned Keanu Reeves, dude. What a fucking man. I again just doing some research on people, and I found out that he's like pretty much one of the most like badass actors in terms of also giving up his money when he's making movies. So for example, he gave up like $1 million of his fund to make sure that they could do that they could have Al Pacino in a movie that he was in.
Yeah, I remember that.
They
yeah.
also
Devil's Advocate.
Yeah, Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
In fucking Matrix, he basically said all of the ticket sales that would have been mine, because I think they get a cut from the movie and then they get a cut from the ticket sales as well. He said you can have all of that budget for the movie so we can make the visual effects fucking top notch.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I mean is like, it's interesting when you have, and don't get me wrong, I'll throw this out there, fucking Tom Cruise. As much as I'm not his biggest fan in the world,
Yeah.
and I'm not the biggest fan of his movies, he makes crazy fucking movies with incredible stunts that are absolutely bonkers, and he usually pays for most of that shit himself.
Like
Like
he's like the exec producer. So
Yeah.
if it wins, he wins big. If it loses, he's not going to make any money.
Exactly,
Or he's
like
not going to make as much.
yeah, it's I think as much as you know, it's a weird one, you know. I think, and also just dedication. Again, I come back to I said earlier, Jackie Chan, you know, the greatest to ever do, you know, martial arts and movies. You know, you look at Keanu Reeves. Before he was meant to do 8 weeks of training before John Wick, he actually ended up doing I think 8 months of training pre John Wick,
Yeah.
so that he could be like proficient with guns, hand-to-hand combat, jiu-jitsu, like all this. I also know he trains under Jean-Jacques Machado.
Yeah, he does,
as well.
Here's the thing, like, you know how I feel about Keanu. Like, and actually I'm softening, but because he's such a nice guy. Like, he's such a fucking nice guy. And he's had a you know, like, he's got a story behind him as well. He's like you know, he was there for River Phoenix's death, who was his buddy. He's had a
His wife
relationship.
had a stillborn, and then she died in a car
Just
accident.
like he's had a very serious motorcycle accident. Like, there's a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But dude can't act.
I don't
Now
know.
here's the thing.
Okay, I would.
John Wick, I think, was the character of John Wick is created to enhance Keanu Reeves' like monotone, like dead behind the eyes delivery on things. Dude,
You need to rewatch Matrix 100%. I would say his acting is a lot more like emotional in Matrix. There's a lot more back and forth, but I would also say, I'd say there is a period in the middle section of his acting career where I agree he's got monotone. I would say actually in this latter end, he started
fine.
getting more emotions back,
Yeah.
and he's starting to find the acting again. Because also he's doing Bill and Ted again.
Yeah,
He's
that's just
doing-
me interesting actually.
You know, like to me, don't get me wrong, I can love the first Bill and Ted movie. The second one's not so great, but the first one is absolutely
Yeah.
phenomenal. And
Yeah.
to me, like, I think him being open to do those kinds of things and stuff makes me feel confident that he might be bridging back into a more diverse acting ability. But
Dude, he might
again,
have
dude,
he
just
might have a
put him
nice
in action
twilight in
movies.
his career, and like I wouldn't be surprised. Check it out, because the bar is pretty low.
Mm.
If Keanu Reeves really opened himself up and was like emotionally available on screen, he might nab himself an Oscar. And I say the
true.
bar is low because no one expects that. So if he did just a bit of that, he'd snatch himself an Oscar, because people would be like, "Fuck, that was an insane performance." Now you put fucking, someone else that's really able to do that, like I don't know, like
Jake Gyllenhaal.
yeah, or Shia LaBeouf, or any of those guys that's where they kind of live in that really vulnerable emotional range of shit. It might just be a normal performance for them, but maybe that's what the Oscars are about, is just like having a phenomenal performance for what you are, I guess.
Yeah, I think Keanu. I think he might slip more into like an Al Pacino.
Yeah, your thing's slipping a little
Oh
bit.
shit. I think he might slip into more an Al Pacino, Robert De Niro esque kind of character as
Twilight.
he gets older.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll start like bridging into those more serious, more like still action. I reckon there'll still be like, with a lot of De Niro movies and Al Pacino movies,
Yeah.
there's still action.
Yeah.
But I reckon it will be a lot more serious. There'll be a wider range to the acting ability as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Hopefully.
yeah, with like what's funny was Pacino and De Niro both, that last Netflix movie that came out like maybe a year ago. That was the moment that I thought to myself, clearly with both of them, holy fuck, they've gotten old right in front of my eyes. Like suddenly, like they could barely like move. They could do like, it was weird.
Did you see Hunters with Al Pacino, where it's about the Nazi hunters in America?
No, it's on Amazon.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot recommend that series enough.
Okay.
Al Pacino, for like a 68-year-old man, moves very quickly in that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it him?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's him. And it's not like you're talking about the
Robert De Niro scenes, I think that.
Yeah, well, in that movie that you're talking about, what's it called? It's not The Gentleman. It's one of those. It's
way too long.
It's a Scorsese movie.
A Scorsese movie.
And what he does is he actually de-ages them. I'm not sure if you've seen
he totally
the
does.
whole visual effects is that he actually de-ages both of them. In this, Al Pacino's old, and he plays to the old character.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I strongly recommend Hunters. Like, Nazi hunters in modern day America, fucking great plot.
So what, they're going back and they're looking for old school Nazis that were Nazis in the past and now are laying low in Argentina?
Laying low in America. So Nazis that that the American government brought over.
Oh yeah. With,
scientists and things like that.
What is that? Paperclip? No.
Yeah, Operation Paperclip.
Yeah.
And it's about them hunting them. Fuck, dude, it's so good, man.
I'll have to look at
big plot twists as well. Like big plot twists. I strongly recommend that one. Talking about fucking weirdness and craziness. Do you want to talk about Ascension? Do you want to talk about how you're feeling after bigging it up to me for fucking couple
So
weeks?
Ascension, you guys have probably seen the advertisements on it on YouTube. It was David Blaine basically saying he had a childhood vision, which I have had as well, of getting a bunch of balloons and sort of like drifting off into the sky with balloons. And I think like a lot of us have had that. And so he did this whole like stunt to do it. And I didn't know, like, to be fair, like I was never really like fully on board with that. I was like, okay, let's see what happens. There's not a lot of stunt. He's done, I mean, there's a little bit of skydiving involved. Like, what's the actual thing? Dude, I watched, it was yesterday or whatever, and I just skipped through it. I skipped through, and just made sure that he landed the fucking skydive landing, and that was it. And it literally,
did he skydive? So he lets go of the balloons and skydives.
Let's go the balloons. He's at He's at 24,000 feet. Skydives to about 14,000 feet. Pulls his parachute.
This has been done.
It's not. I mean, it was more of a visual than anything, and the visual wasn't great.
Was he
like,
harnessed
first of all,
in? Was he harnessed in, or is he?
He had like a this sort of system built in his hand to like so that he could actually hold on. There's a lot of balloons, and they're big,
Yeah,
like
of course. Yeah.
yeah. So and the thing is, like the way he explained it is he would just be able to walk and then slowly like take off. Dude, that wasn't it. They held him. He was floating, and then they finally were like, "Okay, you ready?" Yeah. And then they basically like let him go, and he has to do something, and then he go. It was like the visual that he wanted wasn't great. The stunt wasn't great, but this takes us back to David Blaine, and you and I have gone to war about David Blaine recently.
David Blaine, David fucking Blaine.
So yeah, here's my contention about David Blaine. All right, he is a magician. That's his upbringing, magician. But he is also like his hero is Houdini, and Houdini was a magician that would challenge himself physically to do certain like almost like superhuman things, like be underwater with a bunch of chains and everything, and have to come out. Now there's some trickery in that, obviously, at some point. But Houdini did die on stage doing like getting hit in the body, like a body shot or something like that, because he, I don't know, he tried to train for it. So there's an element of like, there's magicians like David Copperfield that do like just eye tricks, right?
Yeah.
You know, they make a tiger disappear or a building disappear or whatever.
Yeah.
There's other magicians that like walk on water, and those are eye tricks, right? And there's other magicians that do fucking, what's his name?
Dynamo,
yeah. Other magicians like that for card tricks, and they're super, super skilled at just sleight of hand and misdirection and all this other shit. Yeah. That's all magic, right? I get it. And David Blaine is probably good as a magician, but he's probably great at bringing that Houdini part of his stuff into magic. And he then like blurs the lines, and some of it's bullshit. He tries to cheat in different ways on like conveying the superhuman stuff, that it's really superhuman Houdini stuff, when it's really like a little bit of a scam. But other stuff is real, like swallowing a fucking frog, or putting an ice pick or whatever through his arm, or being in a an ice like cube basically for however many hours it was. Like the shit that he really does, that just on the surface, if someone did that, you'd be like, holy shit, like that's an achievement. Then he ties that into magic, and he's built a fucking phenomenal career on it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's a phenomenal magician. There's some shit that he's done that I'm like, wow, like I couldn't put this thing through my arm. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't swallow a fucking frog. Like other people can. And he's kind of built a little career around that. Go.
My opinion is this, right? He's like, I agree with you. He is someone who is trying to test his body. He's someone who's trying to push himself. Oh, camera's dead. Just doing a quick battery change, guys. My opinion is...
Be careful. You're like you're risking another torsion of the
Shut the fuck
testicular torsiano.
It's something that he is, in my opinion, someone, who's built a phenomenal career off of doing amazing things, doing
hit button
things that are... This should be on. Yeah, I'll come back on in a sec.
Okay.
He's built an amazing career out of doing phenomenal things, and things that are surprising to people, things that are exciting, things that are, different, things that are, he's done mounds of different stuff. But for me, my problem with it all is that there's an air of it not being real. There's an air of it possibly not being 100%, with his underwater bit. He talks about wanting to use a rebreather and things like that. And he talks about how he is in other ways almost tried to cheat his way through these stunts. Now, even with the breathing underwater, he used pure oxygen. He's not even using just oxygen. Yeah. So to me, I then question, is that you testing the human body, or is that you testing the human body with extreme circumstances, however, with also extreme, physical alterations as well?
He's doing a little hack.
Yeah.
So he's hitting the 17-minute mark, but he's doing it with pure oxygen, which without pure oxygen, it might be like 7 minutes or 12 minutes, which just isn't as impressive. So it's not as big of a story.
I was going to say, free divers, actual free divers, especially, typically Asian free divers, who...
Pearl divers.
Yeah, exactly. In like Indonesia and things like that. They can be down there for up to 5 to 7 minutes on one breath,
just going down on the rope.
Just going down. So to me, that kind of stuff is where I see validity. That's where I don't discredit David Blaine in the fact that, yeah, you know, he's the same as fucking Dynamo and all the rest of those fucking idiots who do, you know, incredible stunts. Don't get me wrong. They perform incredible things and they blow people's minds. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why I know that someone doing a card trick and that isn't real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's also a reason why, you know, for me, then I become very skeptical of, you know, mystics, of hypnotherapy, like all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff, is because to me, I need I need strong evidence with that kind of stuff, and I need like strong proof, and I need all that kind of stuff. With him, I actually appreciate his craft. I
Yeah.
appreciate what he does. Like
That's what I
again,
was gonna say.
the swallowing frog and stuff is pretty next level. Like it's hard for anyone to, like I mentioned to you that there was a guy on a TV show in England called Britain's Got Talent, maybe 5-6 years ago now, who could swallow pool balls. Like by pool I mean like billiards or
Yeah.
fucking snooker
Yeah.
balls. Like you could swallow a whole one of those and bring it back up.
Yeah.
And even just getting your fucking mouth around a billiard,
And getting it down your throat. Yeah.
like that's crazy. But
It's still an accomplishment to like shove a frog down into, like, how far down it goes, I don't know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And to me, like, that is amazing. And he's learnt some incredible things and whatnot. But also, I also talk to you about, you know, just the stupidity of his actions. You know, I'm pretty sure after he did the breathing in water with oxygen, he was declared like brain damaged by someone.
Oh, dude, he's taken some serious toll.
Yeah, like he's, again, this is what I go is I go, are some of his stunts stupid? Yes. Are some of the stunts he does incredible? Yes. Are those incredible stunts detrimental to his life? Yes.
Definitely. Clearly some of them are. I forget, there's some things that he's done that he's had, what is it? He's had some stomach problems. He's definitely like, but you know, I guess, dude, you can then argue, well, okay, like an MMA fighter, like, you know, so anyone that is using their body
That's true.
to
Skaters.
pursue excellence,
Yeah.
are they compromising their quality of life later on? And David Blaine is definitely doing that. Like, I don't know to what degree he's going to be effing himself when he gets older, but yeah, there's some shit that's going down.
I guess for me, it's hard to comprehend the skill. Like, it's a good analogy is anyone who doesn't know about skateboarding, watching someone do a tray flip does not understand that there's two different motions happening at the same time, and that you have to do two different things with your feet at the same time while jumping in the air. So actually, you're doing three different things. You know, you want to take it even further, like a hard flip or a ghetto bird, hard flip rewind, however you want to put it. That's three things. You're then doing two things with your feet and you're rotating your body while having to, like, people don't understand what goes into that. So again, it's me looking at this as like an amateur from the outside going, oh, he fucking swallowed a frog. You know? Like, how many times did he almost die swallowing that frog the first 10 times?
Yeah.
You know, how many times did he nearly choke or that frog get stuck in his gut and he had to like somehow get a live frog out, whether they pumped his stomach or whether he like shat it out because it was dead eventually. I don't know. But, you know, it's definitely a weird, he's a weird guy. And he's, when you talk as well, you admit the reason this has become an issue between us.
It's fucking, it's a very controversial.
is because he was on Rogan's podcast and he talks very like sporadically. He's very, he doesn't stick to a point.
To your point though, dude, I think maybe he's got a little bit of brain damage.
I think so too.
Like, he's very scatty.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he also spectrumy as well.
Yeah.
Which, like, and people understand when I say spectrumy, that's not an offensive term. I am on the spectrum, and not only that, but also by spectrumy, I mean somewhere on the spectrum. That can be anywhere from, you know, severe autism all the way through to minor dyslexia.
Yeah.
You know, you are on the spectrum in some way.
Yeah.
So I think that he's somewhere on that spectrum, whether it be, you know, an autistic version, an Asperger's, dyslexia, or whatever it may be.
He just couldn't complete thoughts.
I was going to say,
jumping. But here's the other thing about him, and I mean, don't want to dwell on it too much. First thing is, I thought Ascension was shit. It was a publicity stunt. YouTube, you know, promoted the fuck out of it. Who knows how much money they made in advertising on it. It was shit. Like, it was stupid, and I didn't like it. Now that's fine, but I will say David Blaine has had a lifetime career. You know how I feel about people that have spent 30 years mastering stuff. His
He's
dude,
putting
his
his
car,
10,000 hours.
he's putting 10,000 hours in, and you got to give props, huge props to someone that is a master at their craft. Now, has he brought in some other like gimmicks? Absolutely, but in the service of being a master magician, a master like sleight of hand, sleight of visuals, to get people to question what they've just seen. He's fucking done that brilliantly.
Yeah, dude. And this is the thing is, you're right. When it comes down to it, if we break it down back down to the archetypes of the situation, he's a craftsman who's honed his craft, and he's fucking amazing at it. Don't get me wrong. Again, I deem some of those stunts kind of shit, and I also deem some of them cheating. But I also, like you said, respect the hours he's put into it. At the end of the day, anytime anyone puts hours into something, I respect that. Like, me and my girlfriend debate all the time about whether Jeff Bezos worked hard to be the richest man in the world, or whether it was handed to him on a plate. You know, I go, at some point there had to be hard work, from it being a book company that sold like secondhand books at one point, to then being a company that overrides eBay, which was the biggest online retailer at one point, to then being the biggest online retailer ever. Like, more than anything. And they'll sell like, to me, I when it comes down to it, as much as I dislike the person, fuck you, Jeff Bezos, share your money with the fucking people who need it, you piece of shit. I also go, I respect the fuck out of you, because fuck, man, you built an empire.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come from nowhere, regardless of whether you add investment, whether, you know, people can invest in things. You know, people always go,
oh, he had $1 million behind him, so that's why he's successful.
Yeah.
Well, you could fuck $1 million away really easily.
Exactly. You can make the wrong business decisions and wrong like ideas, and boom, you that investment doesn't exist. You know.
Yeah, I was there when that started, dude. So just the name of it, you knew he had forethought. He didn't call it the book world. He didn't call it like our books are you.
Yeah.
He called it fucking Amazon.
Yeah.
He knew where he was going. He knew that this was going to be a huge place for people to get anything they wanted, and that was really like genius, like early on, and no one really understood exactly what it means. And now, dude, like they're like in, I don't know, later stage testing with the Federal Aviation Administration on fucking drone drop-offs. Like, Amazon is going to be delivering shit to you with robots and drones before our lifetime ends.
Can I tell you something hilarious that I watched?
How does that even work anyway? Like, is it going to come to your window? Like,
oh yeah.
are they just going to call you? Like, and the drone's just going to like.
And you got to try and like.
No, it's just going to come down. But like,
it?
first of all, like drones, don't they work on batteries? Like, how? Like,
there's a bunch of issues. Which is why they're trying to work it out. They're looking through what can be done. I think, you know, it's the whole Ronnie Chang stand up, you know, Prime now, have it now. Like, it's getting insane with us needing to have like this in the moment delivery service. That's crazy. Something that I wanted to talk about that was absolutely hilarious I saw the other day. So I was scrolling through Instagram, and there's a video of a skater that I know, not personally, but over the internet, getting a cannabis drop off from his dealer, and the dealer was doing it via drone. And I don't know what system they had in place, but basically the dealer knew where he was based off of like almost like echolocation. Like, it would be like beep, 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 and as the drone got closer,
like he had some little signal that he was
on
sending
his
off
phone,
on his phone. Yeah.
So he was actually FaceTiming his homie while he was flying it over to him. Again, weird, like, so strange. So, like, conceptually, you're like, what the hell? Like, if anyone had, like, you're just like, Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
Right now, let's just make a bet. Let's say before your lifetime's over.
Yeah.
Will you be sitting at doing the Homie and the Dude podcast, and you'll be like, fuck, I need a fucking new battery for the Lumix fucking GH28. You fucking go on your phone, you hit battery, within minutes, there's a drone that appears outside the window, a big one, and then a little one comes off of it, comes in the window, and hands that shit to you within fucking 15 minutes. Yes or no? We're talking about the next
my
50
lifetime?
years, 70 years, 60, 70 years.
I think the world ends before we get to that kind of technology.
Dude, that's a whole other thing. Dude, dude.
You asked me my answer, bro. I think the world is done before we even get close
All
to
right,
that.
let's just assume that somehow we save ourselves in some different way.
Yeah.
Just that drone technology and Amazon, are they going to be able to fucking deliver it that way? Like Amazon, like
Yeah.
Prime fucking now.
Yeah. 100. And dude, here's the thing as well. Once, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not sure if we would ever get to this point, but like materialization, like
Oh.
things like almost like, I want to say teleportation, but by teleportation, I don't mean through time. I mean
Almost
through
like
space.
3D like printers, but like actually like
Yeah.
some sort of like instant, like the next.
That, I never thought about it being a 3D printer. Holy fuck. That's so
Can you
much
imagine
smarter
3D
than I
printers
thought.
like evolving into like
Everyone has a 3D printer in their home and you order off of Amazon and it prints your fucking shit for
it just
you.
makes it, but it makes it like it makes a fucking computer.
See, I always imagined it would be like, you know, like like the Spy Kids. Like in Spy Kids, you know, when they put the fucking thing in the microwave, they press the button and it's a burger and shit. Like kind of that kind of thing is what I imagined at some point we would get to, but it's definitely not happening in my lifetime. Definitely not fucking happening in your lifetime. But I think that would be amazing. But you're right. I think 3D printing will be the way that that starts. I think you're so right.
There'll be like a little device in every house.
Yeah.
It's the Amazon device.
Yeah.
And there's like an Argos catalog next to it.
And you can just
or
print
like
shit.
Yeah. Or like you do like the Iron Man thing where you go and you go
Oh, and you know,
like
and dude, you know,
and then
you
if
know
you
how
hit
they
the button and it goes.
you know how they make the most money off of that shit as
Mhm.
well? They make it a fucking monthly subscription. So it means that everyone subscribes monthly, and you can then print new things that come in the catalog, and old things leave the catalog.
Do you still get like shitty Amazon Prime like programming?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's a scary thought in terms of where we're headed in terms of the level of technology and where especially the immediacy of things, like the fact that we need things, especially material things, and we're such consumers at this point. Like I said, someone like, I don't spend money I said, I can't remember what I was talking about. I was like, I literally don't spend money, like unless it's food. I don't buy new clothes. Don't get me wrong, right? This is a new jumper as an anniversary present. Relax, everyone. But these
You have been
tracksuit,
wearing it for like literally a week.
I was gonna say, yeah, I've not taken off. But also these trackies, I can tell you for a fact, I had these when I was 15. I'm now 22. Like,
Dude, you didn't even change out your trackies today.
my ball hurts. The fuck, dude?
That's true.
You want me to wear jeans and have that shit like
That's
fucking
true.
tied up to my
You do
fucking...
have a pass, but yeah, I just realized that.
I mean, usually I wear cargo. It's not much better.
torn skating cargo pants.
Oh god. But you know, I think, yeah, this immediacy thing is going to become a big problem. Like us needing things now, and this consumer idea of we need shit now. Like when I tell people, like I said, I don't buy new clothes. Like I don't go out and buy, like I've got t-shirts that I had when I was 13 that like still like are a bit tight now, but are good enough that that I can wear them.
Yeah.
Like people are blown away by that. People are like, what? I'm like, what? Like it's not even damaged, really. Like the only thing that I would say that I fucking blow through and consume like a fucking monkey is skate shoes.
Yeah.
Like oh man, someone needs to create a company where you can have, like, for people who aren't working on their Switch regular game, being like, yo, trade in your fucking left-hand shoe because it's got no damage to it and get like a new one, or like get a right shoe that's completely new.
Or you do what Nikki says,
which is just actually skate switch. Don't be a pussy and skate switch.
Yeah.
So I have this conversation with my girlfriend all the time. I say that there should be some sort of website where you can basically, as a skater, what you'll learn is anyone who skates, the way that you skate, you tear up the shoe that you're flicking with, that you do all the like flick motions with. Your front foot, yeah. Typically your front foot. And so for people who ride goofy, for people like me, it's your right foot. For people who ride regular, it's your left foot. What that means is that your other shoe stays completely fine and that your flicking foot gets destroyed. So you have one shoe that ends up having a fuck off hole in it and the other one that doesn't. So I always say that there should be a website where you can trade in your like other good shoe and get like the opposite back almost. You can get like a right foot out of that brand of shoe because someone else is just giving it in now that they're done with it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
It's actually a good idea.
It's not a bad idea.
Like a skate company that did that would be awesome. Like,
Yeah.
Like maybe they didn't even, you didn't have to trade it in. they would just sell singular shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Right.
But Nikki's point to that is just learn how to skate switch, bitch. Which is a valid point. I should just learn how to skate the other way, which is the trick. So with all skateboarding, the goal is to be able to perform a trick in every stance. So by every stance, I mean there's actually 4 stances to skateboarding. People think it's either goofy or regular, but there's actually 4 stances. So there's regular, which is back foot on the tail, regular. Then there's fakie, which is, regular with your front foot, but backwards.
Yeah.
And then there's switch, which is just skating the opposite way to whichever way you skate. And then there's nollie. So there's all these different stances, and the goal is to know how to do a trick in all 4 stances: switch, fakie, regular, and nollie.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Easier said than done.
Way fucking easier said than done. I can do a lot of tricks in my normal stance. I can do a lot of tricks fakie. I cannot do a single trick switch or nollie. I can.
Can you ollie, nollie? Can you ollie switch?
No. I can.
It's also like
it's
not only is it,
relearning my entire body, and it's actually teaching it to do the opposite of what it currently does.
each foot is doing a different thing.
Yeah.
Like the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's actually a good idea. Like a skate company that just sells one shoe.
Or you could buy a pair, or you could buy one.
What if you bought a pair and then you could get a refill like discount? So you bought a pair of shoes, right and left.
Yeah.
And then for your lead foot, let's say you buy those for 50 pounds. You get a lead foot repurchase for like 20 quid. Would you do it?
Yeah. Fuck
Totally
yeah. Of course I would. Of course I would.
Yeah.
Of
Because
course I
then
would.
that back foot, then you do that through like a version of like 5 new front foot shoes. Your back foot would, yes, eventually like wear out.
The sole would be torn up, and yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It'd be time to switch your back foot one as
Yeah.
well. I completely agree.
It's a great idea.
It's not a bad idea.
It's called Tory.
Or Pudwell, yo. But yeah, no, I fully agree. I think it's a great idea. I think it's one that should be done. But Nikki's also right. Just learn how to skate switch, and you'll blow through both the shoes. Right, we're fucking 2 hours. Should we round it off?
Could we just talk for a couple minutes? Because I want to clip this out and I want to post it because the fight is coming up in about a week and a half. Woodley Covington.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Tyron Woodley has come off 2 losses. He got mushed by Kamaru Usman.
Mushed by Gilbert Burns.
Got mushed by Gilbert Burns. Colby Covington got his jaw broken by Kamaru Usman. There's bad blood. These 2 guys probably should have fought 2 years ago, maybe. And they're coming together now in about a week and a half, I think on September 19th. On the surface, this is not a great fight for Woodley, it seems like. Covington's just younger. He's got great motor. Like, say what you want about Covington as far as a person. He is a fighter, and he took a tremendous amount of damage from Usman, which to me is like another question mark. Like, okay, you got beaten up. Like, you got, like, if it was a street fight, dude, you were in the hospital. Like, you might have some like PTSD from that.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, he got fucked up.
Yeah.
You're stepping back in the ring again. So how are you going to react to getting jacked again? And then Woodley's just old. He's like 38, 39 years old. This is a grudge match. I have a little bit of trivia for you, which you probably don't know, that you're going to find fascinating as well. But yeah, so if I were to say what my thoughts are, based on the trivia that I know, I think it's a 50-50 fight now. I don't think, last week before I knew this little bit of information, I would have said Covington's just going to fucking take him out into deep water and drown him. And in like the 4th or 5th round, shoot on him, just gas him, because Woodley just seemed like he was struggling with his pace and couldn't pull the trigger. Like, there were times against Burns where he could not, like, he was just like waiting for the big shot. He got old, and like when you get old, your mind says there's an opening, but your body just can't shoot.
I think, well, I know Woodley's one of the best wrestlers in the UFC. I know
they're both excellent wrestlers.
They're both going to have amazing cardio. So I don't think it was ever a cardio issue with Woodley in any of the other fights.
Okay.
I thought he looked fresh in all of his fights, actually. I think what Woodley's issue is that he's kind of like the Wonderboy Thompson of fucking big hitting. Like, he's very measured. He's very tactical. He's like, he wants to knock you out.
He's gotten more so as well as
he's gotten more like knockout hungry as he's gotten knockouts. But the thing is, now he's been losing for so long that it's like, I don't know. I personally think that Woodley's probably going to lose as well, just because if Covington just moves forward like he does in every single one of his fights, I don't think Woodley's going to be able to handle the pressure.
Yeah.
I think it'll just be, honestly, it's going to be one of two things. Woodley hasn't been knocked out. He's been dropped by a couple people.
Yeah.
But
Got
he
dropped
has,
by Burns in this last fight.
I was going to say, he hasn't been knocked out. So to me, I don't think he's going to get knocked out, but I reckon we're going to go full 5 rounds, and I reckon it'll be a decision against him. And I reckon Covington wins by decision.
All right, let me throw this piece of trivia.
Go for it.
Who called up Woodley and said, I want to prepare you for this fight? Guesses?
Usman.
No. Someone else.
So, wait. Oh, I read about this. Wasn't it McGregor?
No.
Who was it?
Well, think about Covington. Who's got fucking beef with Covington?
Usman.
And
Masvidal, I guess.
Masvidal has been training with
Oh shit, nice.
Tyron Woodley. Like, he's literally gone in there, and not only has he been training with him, he's been motivating him, saying, "Look, dude, you got to fucking nope, that's not enough. You got to do more. This is how he shoots. This is how he, like literally, because Covington lived on Masvidal's couch for a period of time.
Mm.
Like, they were homies.
Yeah.
And that shows what a dick Covington ends up being. Like, dude, I think you're a great fighter. I don't think you have to do what you do to promote yourself. I think you can just be a fighter, and like that would be enough. And you wouldn't have to generate all this like bad
MAGA
energy.
hat bullshit.
You just don't. That doesn't need to be in what you do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But so Masvidal could literally, like a year ago, remember he was in fucking Covington's corner against Dos Anjos.
Yeah.
He literally worked his corner.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, the relationship you have with Masvidal, he'd be fucking training you right now, homie.
Yeah.
To get ready for Woodley. Instead, he's literally, this is how much you've pushed him in like hating you. He literally called up Woodley and said, "Let me help you beat this fucker." Right. So there's that bit. But also, just another little bit that Woodley's been doing a lot more cardio. Like running with this like triathlete and doing biking and stuff. So his cardio is going to be good. He's been training with Masvidal.
I don't think training with Masvidal changes anything. Masvidal's an incredible boxer, but whether Woodley can pull the trigger or not is down to Woodley.
That's true.
It's not down to Masvidal.
That's true.
Masvidal can teach him how to throw crazy punches because Masvidal's an incredible striker, but he cannot be the guy who initiates the punches because only Woodley can do that. Only Woodley can be the one who throws the punch, and Woodley just doesn't throw his punches. And this is the thing, is we can say this as people who have watched this, and we know Woodley isn't going to throw the punch. We have seen it now with, is it 2 or 3 fucking Wonder Boy fights? And then fucking every single fight after that has been this weird,
he's just
slow
waiting.
Pace, like, I'm going to fucking pop you with something.
Yeah,
and he
and it
just
goes for
doesn't pop
5
you.
rounds.
Just 5 rounds.
And he can't pull the
Can't
trigger.
land it, yeah. And I think it's because, here's what I'll maybe say. Maybe training with Masvidal gives him this. He was always a wrestler first, who then fell in love with doinking people, knocking them out. What if his striking was just never up to par with anyone? He just happened to clip a couple of guys. And what if now he's realized that his striking isn't up to par? The only thing I think Masvidal will contribute is maybe making his opportunity to land that knockout punch higher. I think Woodley will probably still play the same bullshit game in terms of taking his time, but I also think he will be better at taking his time. Like, I think that punch will be more accurate. I think it will come with maybe a combination. It will come, in a different form. It will maybe be a bit more dirty boxing rather than clean cut like counter boxing,
Here's another angle.
Go on.
Maybe Covington's style invites Woodley's one punch strategy to actually be better, because Covington is so busy. Like like Woodley will not have any choice but to throw. Otherwise, he's gonna get knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, because Covington, remember Covington against Robbie Lawler?
Yeah.
Just the volume of punches was insane, right? So if he's going to throw that kind of game, and also, if he's going to throw that, then Woodley may just have to, just to keep him off him, throw.
Yeah.
Which he hasn't been able to do. Like, if someone's got space, Woodley has not been able to pull a trigger.
That's what I think is going to happen with the Adesanya Costa fight as well.
Yeah,
just that distance issue is going to be a problem.
That's going to be a problem. But we'll hold off on that.
Yeah, go for it.
The other thing is, I hope it does go to the ground, because it'd be a fucking high level wrestling match. Like, I want to see who has.
I don't think either of them have strong submissions though. Like as much as there's
Woodley,
a difference
who
between.
did he submit? Darren Till. Was that a choke? Yeah, I think he choked
Was
him
it
out.
Darren Till?
Yeah, yeah.
Recently?
Yeah.
When was that?
Year and a half ago.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it'll be interesting. But yeah, I don't see I don't see Woodley winning. I don't see Woodley.
I don't
winning.
either. If I had to put money on it, I'd put it on Covington, but I think it's gonna be closer than I thought.
But also, I want Woodley to win.
I want Woodley to win as well. Covington, man, fucking
big props to you though, dude. Your fucking jaw got broken.
yeah,
bro.
dude. Big props to you. You're a fucking hell of a fighter, dude.
Just
That's all you need, bro.
Just don't be an asshole. Yeah, swing your punches. You don't need to be an asshole.
Yeah.
100%. Right.
Boom.
Right, guys.
Episode 16.
Episode 16. Testicle update. Movie chat. Film chat. Life debate. Fuck David Blaine.
No.
Big up.
David Blaine's all right. Fuck Ascension.
Big up Woodley and Covington come in a week or two, guys. Yeah. Final thing before we go, just a mention from our sponsor, Veast.kitchen. They are doing their same delivery on this Saturday, basically. So come pick up your meal. Don't cook. Get someone else to cook for you. This is a chef with over 30 years of experience. Check it out. It'll be worth it, guys.
Badass vegan food. Really yummy.
For sure. Final thing, you know what it is. We mentioned it at the beginning. Hit us with that Holy Trinity.
Ooh, Tondele Santo. What's at the top of the Trinity?
Fucking share any single one of our posts. It does not matter which one. Then like and follow the Facebook page. And then finally, subscribe to the YouTube channel.
And you'll be baptized into La Familia if you did that.
The moment you do that, yeah, exactly. You're baptized into La Familia. But yeah, guys, it takes a couple of seconds. You can literally do all of that in under, I think I did it the other day or checked how long it would take in under like a minute and 30 seconds. Yeah. So if you've got a bit of time, drop us with that Holy Trinity. Other than that, thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Later. Bye.
Bye.
Chugging through. We're loving doing this stuff for you guys. If you want to support us, if you want to make sure that we can keep getting, better quality set, better quality lights, make the filming better.
Bigger batteries for the camera.
Bigger batteries for the camera.
Yes.
All that kind of stuff. You can do that by just liking, following the page, and subscribing to the YouTube channel. That is what really makes a difference to us.